as you want, just not into the microphone.
Yeah.
Plus, it smells afterwards. Anyway, 3, 2, 1. Hey, folks, welcome to Bouncing Brains. I'm Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G. Fuck, I almost
You almost fucked that up, didn't you?
I almost forgot who the fuck I was. I'm not even gonna lie.
And sitting in with us on third mic here at the illustrious Bouncing Brains studio is the comedian, the voice of many face. I fucked that up. The face with many voices, Joseph Soto.
Hi, how are we? How you going today? Good to see you. Buy my insurance.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I almost said...
For some reason, I like doing that voice a lot sometimes. I don't know. It reminds me of the 50s.
I think the one that you got down is the Mickey.
The Mickey? Oh, you remember that bit?
Yeah,
oh,
bro. I was laughing my ass off in that fucking...
Unbelievable. We're going to do this again.
You add just enough desperation to it just to make it sound sympathetic.
Dude, oh, man. That bit, I'm going to bring it back, but we're going to add a little twist to it. I'm going to twist that bit up a little bit.
Are you using it?
I took some advice, and in the beta testing, it played out pretty well when I rewrote it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Are you, well, I don't know if you want me to bring this up yet, but eventually we're going to talk about it. But are you going to use it tomorrow?
No, tomorrow I'm sticking with my dating advice material.
Okay. Awesome.
I think Sean's heard it. Yeah, you've heard it.
I believe I have.
Yeah.
I don't think I would take dating advice from you, but...
Maybe cooking advice. Maybe eating advice.
That'd
be something you might want to look into. Yeah.
You know, seriously, the old myth that fat people can cook is bullshit. I know some fat fucks can't cook for shit. Just
because they eat it raw. They just
bacon. This chicken's got a texture to it.
So, like,
it's so soggy.
By the way, there is a mutual friend of ours told me a story once about him walking into a kitchen late at night and eating half a raw chicken.
That sounds like...
I'll let you, you'll find out the name after the podcast.
I think I have an idea.
All right, so I want to cut through the bullshit and I want to get to what we're talking about. Cause you said some shit that really irked me.
What did I say?
About the studio spaces. Before we get into that, for the ladies and gentlemen and children and whoever the fuck else is watching this shit, I just want to throw something out there. Don't spend $1 million on a home studio, even if you got that money. Don't do it. But you're gonna hear why you should. Take it away.
I'm not advocating spend $1 million right away.
No,
on a studio.
Before we hit record, they said you can spend $1 million on a recording space. That's what the fuck they said. Did you not say that? Am I lying?
I may have heard something similar to that statement.
Okay, let's drop it down to $750K.
It's close enough. I round up.
Well, because see, at heart, I'm a musician, so I'm thinking multi-purpose. I'm already thinking 4 different layers, 5 steps ahead. Okay, musician-wise, obviously, I want my soundproof walls.
What do you play, real quick?
Guitar, bass, drums, keyboard. And vocals.
Damn, he does everything short of jacking off. All right.
I could basically do everything except, I was going to say something about involving the kitchen sink, but I don't know how that would.
All right, so go ahead.
No, I mean, obviously I'm old school. I love the whole synthesizer, phase modulars and all that stuff. I would totally geek out and buy old school vintage modulars and keyboards from the 70s and 80s and just have a field day, try to come up with an album, spending hours just messing with sound. So I would, now basically where I'm coming from with the whole $1 million in the studio.
By the way, just to preface this came from a question as to what your what your ideal studio would be. Because I forgot that for a second, and I was about to say, like, motherfucker, you just need something to work in. But no. If you go an ideal studio, by all means, fucking retro that shit out. Get all the old little
drum sets, guitars, basses, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I get you, man.
Okay. Are you done with that?
Are you finished? Is you
Probably
good?
not. I would also spend a little extra on some servers to store all that data.
So now you're over $1 million.
No, actually, it would probably be in the realm of $1 million. Yeah.
Okay.
The servers today are cheap.
Now you're going into full production studio, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So now, can we go and come back to your expensive ass? So now, with you, why would you spend $1 million on a recording studio?
I wouldn't spend $1 million on a recording studio.
Now all of a sudden we get recording.
I never
Everybody
said, no,
fucking
fuck you.
got
I never said
Alzheimer's and shit. I didn't say that.
Freddy, with the most polite sincerity, eat a dick. I did not say I would spend $1 million. I never
should go eat some haggis while riding in a bike.
So it was just you that would spend. So then let me
on bumpy roads.
Bumpy roads.
So let me ask you this then. How much, if money wasn't the option, how much would you spend on a studio, that your ideal studio? Put a price tag on it. And then to walk us through what you would put in it.
Honestly, if somebody was like, hey man, I need you to put a studio together right now.
No, but think of in regards as to like what you would use it for. You.
Oh yeah, I'd use it as a straight. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily get the high end server stack, but definitely some storage space.
I mean, you can get moderate stuff. Simple like little 12-core machines, couple terabytes, and you're good. Just store your data. Obviously, choose a different compression file. I mean, you don't want that raw stuff because that raw takes up gigs.
You know what I would spend a shitload of money on?
You know what? That I will. Let me push back a little bit against that, man. I don't at the moment store. Say for these episodes, for example, what I store is the finished product after I processed it, and it's the size that I upload.
Are they PCM compressed files or AC3 or? No.
I'm using straight MP4s.
MP4s? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I use WAV for the audio files when I need to store something at. But that's the thing.
It's a default.
The lossless
audio
format.
Yeah,
that's the thing. If I could, I would store everything in FLAC.
FLAC. Yeah, I call it FLAC. Yeah,
FLAC. Yeah, man. I love the fucking sound on that, man. Like if I could get my albums all on, granted, but you need a fucking terabyte of
definitely for the hours that you guys are doing.
Y'all do know that if
not just that, but like even like a 3-minute song in FLAC is a huge fucking file, man.
That's what
I think your standard 3-minute is about 200 megabytes, give or take.
Yeah, dude, the episodes that we put out, like, except for some of these, like, 3-hour episodes, they go up over 100 megabytes, but mostly our episodes are around, like, 70 to 80 megabytes.
What I was going to say was, y'all do know that if y'all record in FLAC, y'all won't be able to upload to fucking Spotify and iTunes and all that.
No, you're missing the point, man. I'm talking about for backups, masters, basically.
Oh, okay.
I love to be able to keep high-end master files on projects.
I got you. Okay.
That way, I mean, you can always choose to, like I said, man, what I upload to YouTube is, like when I finish editing the file, it's probably about 5 gigs, and then I run it through another program to re-encode it at a smaller file size.
AAC? That's a default to convert to.
Oh, no. I just convert from MP4 to MP4, but I have I'm using a program called Handbrake.
Oh, I love Handbrake. Oh,
dude,
really
it's
good.
Great. And it you can get that web optimize option so that it kind of like restacks the file.
For a while, I used to use a DVD Fab.
I didn't even come across that one.
It's decent. I mean, it's a good, I used it because I was always backing up my DVDs, making little backups in case I step on them one day and they break while I try to pick it up because, I'm a little overweight. My foot's on it, snaps the disc. So I wanted to have a backup for that. And I used to use DVD Fab. Real simple compression methods. It'll copy everything on the movie, basically skip out the commercials and stuff. It was really nice. But Handbrake, I've been using it recently. Love it.
Dude, there's another little program I've been using called Vidimux. Maybe. And
Vidmux?
Yeah. Oh, you know about this one?
Dude, come on.
Dude, being able to clip with that thing is just great, man. Just smooth as fuck.
Man, back in my day when I used to just like do a lot of stuff, audio editing and video editing. Ripbot. Ripbot was another one. It used like real hardcore compressions, X264, and now 10-bit 10-bit X265. And I used to, because I had the Dark Knight, the collector's edition on Blu-ray.
Right.
And that one, I was like, you know what? I want to rip this onto my hard drive so I can watch it whenever the F I want. And Ripbot was the only one that I knew that was high-end at the time. But it requires a lot of threads. Like, you need 24 plus. The compression method on that thing is just insane. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I had one of those just moments of exuberant joy the other day when I updated. I'm using Shotcut for the video editing, and I'd been having some issues with it. Like it was, I'd make an action, like, add in a clip of something,
right,
and then I'd have to wait like a minute or so to just let it kind of catch up with itself. And
computers.
Dude, here's the thing. I updated the motherfucker and it's just like bing, bing, bing. It's not crashing on me. I was just like, yay, it works. I know my computer's a piece of shit, but it works better now.
Updates do help.
Every once in a while, man. There are a few things here and there, man.
During an update, you may lose a thing or two, but you gain 4 other things.
Great example of that's got to be Mozilla's Firefox, man.
Oh, yeah.
For a while there, I just avoided the update. I'd wait for like maybe 2 or 3 updates before
That's what I do too.
That's what I do. It's like, we're coming out with some new features.
Oh, man. Speaking of updates, I don't know if you know about this, but about couple months back, early 2018, CCleaner?
Yes.
Well, get this. They uploaded, their exe and their zip files to the main site so you can download the free trial, do that whole thing. Well, there was a leak in one of their exe protocols. Somebody was able to slide in some malware into their zip files and their exe. And when people would download that, it was basically a backdoor protocol. Hijacked information, backdoor Trojan horse kind of stuff. And they did all they could to fix it, but it was too late. Millions of people already downloaded that update. Exposed computers.
Yeah, man. That's one of the things that irritates the shit out of me when it comes to, say, Microsoft's model of trying to make sure that everybody's up to date with the current OS.
Yeah.
Say what they're doing right now, where they're, I think it was just earlier this year or maybe last year where they withdrew support for XP finally.
Yeah.
And
they did.
And that's a shame because I fucking love XP, man. I really do.
Oh, it was the best. I mean,
yeah.
Basically, I can remember as far back as I can remember. XP was in school, college, and some places of work I used to work at. It was the thing.
Dude, after Windows, and I think there was one before Windows 7, but
Vista.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even touch Vista.
Nobody liked it. It was a memory chunker. Terrible operating system. Sorry, Microsoft. You knew what you were doing. You should have fixed it from the get-go. Not wait 6 months and be like, oh, here's a service package 1. And then 5 months later, here's a service package 2. We fixed it, but we're done.
Your OS is bad and you should feel bad. But yeah, it just seemed like everything after XP, I get it. They were trying to go more towards the touchscreen tablet type of thing.
They were going for that because
almost Android's model of hiding the really the detailed functions behind like a bunch. You can get to it if you really, really want to, but are you sure you want to fuck with the registry? And it's like, yes, motherfucker, get out of my way. But
of course I do. Well, you have to understand, at the time it was the market, man. It was that competition, iOS versus Windows, touchscreen, all-in-one computers versus desktops. And if you're lucky, some laptops that don't crash on you in the first year.
Right.
It was a tough time, man.
Well, there was a while there, man. Maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, where they had, you had Microsoft Office and you had, Microsoft Windows, and they were almost.
Oh yeah.
You had like almost an option of what level of operating system you wanted to.
By the way, I feel like we left Freddy in the dirt with all this nerd shit.
Listening.
I'm so sorry, bro. You want to talk about something else?
No, go for it.
No, just the idea that like if everybody's on the same operating system, then once there's a backdoor for that operating system, that's it. We're all fucked.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you're using at least say we still have the split with Apple and
that reminds me of a good scene, a beautiful scene. For those of you who are watching, do you remember 007? I think it was Tomorrow Never Dies. Tomorrow Never Dies. There's a scene where Carver Media, the CEO, is talking to 4 other heads of the world, right? And they're asking questions. Is the paper ready for tomorrow? Are there headlines ready? Yes, exactly. He's typing it up as he goes.
Right.
And then one head over here to the right is like, how about our operating system? Are there a lot of loopholes and worms in the operating system? Is it ready for a service package 6 months later? And Carver's just like, oh yes, of course. They're going to be lining up to buy it. And also the packages. And it was just a beautiful scene of like, yes, because that's right. Corporations do release broken software. Just like for that moment of clarity, it's like, do they? Do they really release broken software? You know what I mean? It's like that question. Yeah. Fucking movies, man. They tell you, but subliminal ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit that you can find in movies. Like, I didn't figure it out till I actually saw the clip on YouTube. But Donald Trump's whole fucking campaign was on The Simpsons. 10 years,
oh yeah, that whole
10
video.
Years ago.
Oh man,
I was like, holy! But it's there, dude. Like The Simpsons told us.
The sign, right? To him holding a sign. I remember watching that video.
Like, holy fuck, dude! And now it has like 10 million views.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh. Damn. But to the point of that, man, there's a lot of shit in movies that, like you said, that I feel that if you see, like, a movie, a great classic movie that I felt that, got a lot of shit right from like now, even today, was Back to the Future.
Back to the Future?
Part 2, though. Part 2.
Why Part 2?
Because in Part 2, they predicted the first black president. Which was
Mayor Goldie Wilson?
Yeah.
Right? He was
which in the movie it was the mayor. They also predicted the win for the Cubs.
The Cubs, yeah. That is true. They did. Oh my God.
They also did the Google vehicle. The Google self-driving
car. Self-driving vehicles, yeah.
They in the movie, you remember where the old Biff, I always get it confused, reversed. But old Biff tells young Biff, or young Biff tells old Biff that he's trying to bid into an auction to get he called it like a self-moving car. And I was like, hey, self-moving car, self-driving car.
Okay.
And
I'd have to go back and watch that scene.
That's one of the scenes that is real quick. The scene itself is like freaking like 3 minutes. It's like a cut scene.
I think I know. It's the scene where they're in the car and they're in Biff's garage, right? And he smacks on the back of the head, because I remember this part. Yeah. It's make like a tree and leave. Not move. It's leave.
You sound like a damn idiot when you said that.
I remember that scene, but I don't remember the rest because it probably went over my head as a kid growing up.
The other one that they predicted was the hoverboards.
Yeah, the hoverboards?
The hoverboards.
But ours used wheels and theirs was all magnetic, and I wish we had those, but we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that movie got a lot of shit. Like,
well, here's the thing, man. There was a lot of stuff from starting about the mid '70s and coming up to present day, man. There's a lot of stuff that was kind of talked about for a long time that we're just very quickly like catching up to all these markers.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we don't have the flying cars, but we do have robots.
We're halfway there.
I was watching something earlier, and they were talking about Isaac Asimov, and I think we've talked a little bit about some of his work, man. And they were talking about the idea that an audience today is not necessarily going to have that same like, oh wow type of impact by They're going to
have that more of a philosophic, rational thought.
It's like we actually have this stuff now, and it's like, yeah, but at the time nobody had even really popularly described it or conceptualized what the impact some of this stuff is going to have.
I have something to say to that, but what were we going to say, Fred?
No, I was just going to say real quick that, correct me if I'm wrong or try to change my mind, but I've always thought, like, and Sean's laughing because he knows that's kind of difficult, but I've always thought, and maybe it's a stupid thought, but I never saw the really big fuss or the real big awe of flying cars.
I agree.
If we have motherfucking airplanes with full-size pools and fucking, you know what I mean?
Well, see, that was... you guys remember those old school, like, popular magazines? When I was in school, there was always some sort of concept art in popular magazines or something. Popular Mechanics, I think that's what it's called. And maybe like some old school books that I used to read where the pictures look so awesome. You know what I mean? Like it's very far-fetched scientific kind of thing. Everything's made out of balls or bubble-like. You know what I mean? Like spherical. Very spherical, and we live in a biodome-based environment.
I'm not sure you wanted to put that out there like that. Everything's made out of balls.
Get your mind out the gutter. We're serious right now.
Somewhere our one English fan is going, the future's balls.
Yeah.
You mean bollocks? Everything's made out of bollocks, mate? Nah, fuck that, man. I'd rather go live down tiny say every time at that time. Fucking hell.
It's like the joke about the...
I don't even know what I said right there. I'm sorry. For those who were
It's
English.
like, real quick, the joke where they send a blonde... They give this blonde a job at a Tickle Me Elmo factory. And they tell her, please go give Elmo testicles. And this chick grabs 2 marbles and she sticks them in the ball. And the guy goes and looks and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? You said to give him testicles. She's like, no, you dumb broad. I told him to give you, I told you to give him testicles to test his tickles.
Blonde moment. But I wanted to get back to what you were saying. Imagine, if you will, like if we take some sort of scientific concept we have today and we go back to the 70s or maybe even the 60s when sci-fi was just an infant, if you will. Would the audience then be understanding or accepting or maybe even consider it as a thought like AI or biogenesis? You know what I mean? Like, because today we have films where some crazy scientist is like breaking the bounds. I've created this, flesh out of my own blood and DNA, and this is a part of me. But, obviously in the movie, like the Keanu Reeves movie, I forgot the title of it. I was in and out when I was watching it because I was kind of sleepy, where he creates his family again.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
What movie is this?
Replacements or something like that.
Yeah, I forget.
The
I was in and out.
Replacements, the ones with the fucking football.
Not the football one. Maybe it's Replicants or something along those lines.
Something like that. But do you think the audience back then would be scared? Or I believe in my sense, because it's an old conservative back in the day. I can't. I got to go to church. It was that kind of generation. I think they would probably actually protest against something like that. As a film. I don't want this in my theaters,
I don't think so necessarily as an idea, man. I'm a big fan of the Golden Era SciFi, say mid-30s to early 60s. Before you kind of had the second wave backlash of the response, which is fine, man. I mean, a lot of great stuff came out of that. Like, I love the novel Starship Troopers, but I also think that Old Man's War is one of the also quintessential pillars of what you'd consider modern sci-fi. Right. As far as, and that book has a lot. Have you read Old Man's War?
No, but I know the title.
One of the central ideas is that, all right, you've got a war that's happening light years away, so it's kind of like an Ender's Game type of thing where we sent the army 50 years ago and they're, just now getting there type of thing. But this keeps going farther and farther and new wars are beginning. But the idea is by the time, a couple of battles have occurred, all of a sudden your original soldiers that you sent out are now a couple of 100 years, if not 1,000 years removed from the body of the species now. So there's new morals, there's new social customs.
Yeah. That actually would be a really good 3-hour movie. I could see that being done.
Yeah, it was weird, man, because I think the novel came out in the early 70s, and one of the premises was that eventually the entire...
part of that. That sounds awesome.
At some point, the social homosexuality becomes the social custom for population control. So, like, there's just a bunch of old people, like, trying to get laid, and they're just like, why don't you fuck him? And he's like, I don't like dudes. Like, can I just get some pussy? Is that a thing? Can I have some?
Population control. Oh, that's another thing. Oof.
I don't think we're more and more now, man. If you keep up with the numbers as far as the sciences on food production, as far as logistics and...
Go for it. I'll finish that sentence. I want to add to that.
I was going to say, man, it looks like right now we could, if we were serious about it, we could probably sustain maybe 20 billion. It would be packed as fuck, and it would be very heavily regimented.
We'd be in a kind of a Judge Dredd style mega cities.
I don't even think if it would be a mega city type of thing, man. Have you ever read any of that literature on some of the stuff they're finding in the Amazon, where it was rather than... I mean, they seemed aware enough that they had a large enough, take someplace like in Mexico, like Tenochtitlan or something like that, where it's, or maybe, Tenochtitlan's in Mexico, I think. They had these massive cities, and then the kind of the farm area going out beyond it, but from all evidence, the population of the city was very heavily, kind of regulated because they realized that their sanitation at that point was not up to snuff. Okay. And, there's only so much you can do with open running water. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
That's,
that's a big shit of a problem.
I mean, that's one thing you never, people talk about, Constantinople got sacked, when the Byzantine Empire fell down. But what they don't really talk about was, or even when Iraq got burned by the Mongols, man, they had done so much with the sewage and sanitation technology at that point. You're talking cities that had been there for damn near 1,000 years. So it's,
the old Mesopotamia.
They either had to figure it out or the whole place was going to smell like, people shit for forever. But, where I was getting is the South American model seemed to be, rather than doing these massive population centers, you just had kind of a spread out metropolitan area. So they were finding some of these, what they were thinking were just old trade routes in the Amazon, but they're noticing that there's, cultivated crops, not like, fields of crops, but like why
pockets.
Yeah. Like, why the fuck is this fruit tree like here next to this, they dropped it. It's like, okay, but we're seeing this like every couple of miles, we're seeing these patches of fruit trees. So the idea would be, say, something similar to what I think it was the Algonquins up in New England had, where it was all of the land is being used as some form of cultivation. And rather than having these, we're all going to go out into the field today. It's like, no, it's like, okay, you walk up this way, you harvest what you can along the way, you get to the population center.
As you go kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The idea of more of an integrated, population network rather than a population center. And I'm thinking, just based on kind of the way it looks. I mean, we talk about like, urban sprawl and suburban sprawl and stuff like that. But most of that is done with that idea of the centralized population center. Those suburban, the suburb, what's the word I'm looking for here? The little neighborhoods you drive into, and it's
like
just
that one little cul-de-sac at the end, and then another cul-de-sac.
It's just a whole bunch of concentric circles, and but there's only one exit, and it's like, what the fuck? I can see the place that I want to go to, but I have to drive 2 miles that way to get to it.
Whoever designed that, by the way, is a moron.
Yeah, man. Seriously, anytime I go somewhere new, I'm more and more grateful for the layout of some place like McAllen, where it's just a grid, a fucking grid. Yeah. That's how it works, man.
Or like those linear kind of like apartment complexes. You have to drive, like your buddy's house is literally right there. You see the front entrance, but you have to drive practically a mile and go this way and then drive another mile and just to hit his parking lot. Yeah. Stuff like that. I'm sorry. I just bring that up because that's happened recently. Yeah, no, man. But what I was getting at is it seems plainly obvious that we're still working on how to fit a lot of people into a small place. When it comes to technology and sort of like this cultural based, what's the word I'm looking for? Living. Like, rural areas, populated cities. I don't know if there's an actual word for it.
Right.
Metropolitan, I guess we'll just go.
I think metropolitan.
Yeah, we'll just go with that. Well, with the whole metropolitan kind of lifestyle, we're still infants in that sort of situation. We still don't know what to do with, you know, the carbon monoxide issue.
I'm just saying, man, that we had at least 6,000 years of dealing with horse shit in the streets.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
There's no more horse shit, and yet somehow we still haven't figured out some of the other basic problems.
Man.
You know, I found it funny when I heard somewhere that in Japan it's actually hard to find a public trash can, and yet their streets are cleaner. It's almost like, we have a cultural norm of not littering, so let's make it even harder for you to find a trash can.
That's weird, because you would figure with Japan, I mean, they're very, you know, so like far ahead, you know, like 5-6 years technologically.
But might I add that in Japan, and this is a true story, you can fact check me if you want, but there is a norm to where people have like cats or whatever, and you know how people go and walk their dog?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, people walk their cats, right? And literally the cat will be walking beside them, and they'll be poking their nose, and they'll feed the booger to the cat.
That's very specific. That's very specific.
Yeah, that's very specific.
Yeah, I thought it was fucking, like, I thought it was weird. So then I thought it was... It's a good way to
recycle, I guess.
I thought it was...
Definitely weird, though. Definitely weird.
I thought it was like, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was maybe somebody making fun of Japanese people. But then I did like further research on it, like on weird facts and repeatable resources or whatever. And I've always told Sean that for anything that I want to find believable, I use the rule of 3, which means I look for 3 articles that say almost the exact same thing.
You can actually do that, yeah. It's a good way to look at it.
And I was able to find 3 articles that very similarly describe the same thing that people do that in Japan. Yeah. And I just like you, Sean, I was like, that's kind of fucking weird to feed your boogers to the cat. And the cat is like just ate it like a champ, you know, breakfast of champions.
Well, to him, it's a piece of food. We're not sure if the cat was able to perceive that as a form of biological recycle. You know, like what's the word? Exhaust or something.
I mean,
excrement.
Excrement. There you go.
Yeah.
God, I need something to drink.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else before that, but
well, here's the thing, man. A lot of the little weird eccentricities that you can hear about when it comes to someplace like Japan, and a lot of it has to do with aesthetics. You know what I mean? Just the cultural norm of how this should look on some level, and we don't really have that here. Like, I mean, it's just kind of. A great example would be like, all right, here in Texas we have wide, what do you call them? The emergency lanes, the
bike lanes.
Well, no, bike lanes, pedestrian, emergency.
Well, they're not always bike lanes. It's the shoulder. The shoulder.
The industrial lane. I call them industrial lanes, regardless.
Right, man. And I mean, first of all, we kind of have a bit of a lax habit down here of people will just use that as a right turn lane.
Yeah, and I me personally, when I'm driving, when I see people lining up to get into that right lane, that emergency lane, that's normally used for emergencies, I like to park in between. On the right and on the other lane.
I get you.
So I can hear those, get out of the way, man. I'm just like, you know, throw that little back finger back there. It's like, no, this is an emergency lane. You're going to have to learn. But we don't. People don't learn.
I mean, here's the thing. I've seen people from out of state, and I was curious about it because I saw a couple of them do it in a row, and I was like, what the fuck is this about? Like, maybe they're visiting, you know, back down from the Great North or something. But, you know, a lot of states have that you must turn from the curb. So you have to pull all the way over to, I think California has that and a couple other.
No, it's here in Texas too.
You don't have to turn from the curb.
That's,
maybe they changed it, man. At some point I remember that we didn't have that. You turned out of the lane.
Yeah, you might want to, because I was going to say something else about that only Well, I don't know if it's only here in Texas, but also well, to continue with that, as far as I know, and I'm gonna look it up again, and I'll get back to you tomorrow. But as far as I know, you do have to be on your far curbside lane to turn. I've heard legend says that if you turn from the middle lane, if you don't do that, that you can get a ticket. But I've never seen a cop give a ticket for that. Where I was going with that was that also here, again, I don't know if it's just here in Texas or here in the Valley, I don't know, or here in Texas because they're Texas laws. I did not know, and I went to driving school, but I never fucking remember anyone in driving school ever saying that when you get on the expressway, there is the third lane. The third lane on the left is a passing lane. You can't be on that lane for, I think it's more than 100 feet.
Well, in some parts of Texas, you will see that. Left lane pass only.
No, hold on. Time out. I've seen that, but it's when it's the double yellow line. When it's the double yellow line, you can pass at your own fucking, like, it's kind of like a yield. Mm-hmm, yeah. Like, if nobody's coming, you can get in real quick, pass, and get back in. Yeah. I'm talking about the expressway, whether it be 281, whether it be I-69.
Well, there is some parts of Texas on the highway, it does say that. Like, you'll have 3 lanes.
Well, I was going to say, I want to say at one point it was interstate highways. Mm-hmm. It was the left lane, the far left lane was for passing only. But I want to say recently as well that the law here in Texas has changed so that now on Texas highways, if you have to use, you can't drive in the left-hand lane. Which is not going to stop anyone from doing that. I passed a couple assholes on the way over here that were doing that shit
every day.
And I'm one of those assholes because nobody had ever told me. Nobody ever told me, hey, dude, like you. And this is honest truth. You know what the third lane? I thought the third lane was. I thought the third lane was the fast lane. It's like when you're going above 65. You know, between 65 and 70.
Right.
That's what I thought that was.
Well, it is, but the idea is that if you're in the middle lane, say you have a 3-lane highway and you're in the middle lane and you're going faster than the person in front of you, then you get over and you move, go as far as you can until the little middle lane is clear and then you get over. Unless there's somebody even faster behind you. And then in which case you duck over.
Yeah.
No, fuck them. They're not even a douche, man. Maybe they came up and they were you.
I love it when they tailgate you. You know, just that little moment.
Oh, I will. I will tailgate them. Look, I will give you about half a mile. If you're in that left lane and you saw me coming up from a mile back and I got behind you, I will sit there like a nice little human being for about half a mile. But if and I know that middle lane's clear, then don't be wrong. If there's traffic, whatever, we'll deal with the situation. But after about half a mile, if your ass doesn't get out of that left-hand lane, I'm coming in within inches. Within inches. Oh, man. We're going to make this real fun. If you're going to drive dangerously, we're going to drive real dangerous.
I'm taking you with me, motherfucker.
No, but anyway, so I just
got that grappling hook on the front of the car.
I want to get your clear answer on that. So, is the third lane a driving lane or a passing lane?
It's a passing lane. On highways, it's a passing lane.
So then I do have to get on the third lane, pass, and get the fuck back on the middle lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I do that.
And with me, on my way to work, bro, every morning, I get in the third lane and I don't get off that bitch until I get to my exit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you're not in the wrong.
Because no. Apparently, according to Texas state law,
here's what I was getting at originally with the idea of like the wide shoulder and all that shit is we don't have a cultural model for how these things actually work. Like the idea of the multi-lane highway is set up that way. You go from slowest lane on the right to fastest lane on the left. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that you constantly have a flow of traffic. If the person in front of you in your lane is going slower than you are, you can pass them. And the idea should be that you should always be able to pass. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now this,
but then we go back to the y'all can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
We go back to the same argument of fucking where the fuck was I going? Oh, of what you said earlier. If there's traffic in the second lane, then you're pretty much fucked because, I mean, according to that logic, you're pretty much fucked because you can't just pass and then get back to the fucking to the middle lane again.
Well, I guess it just depends at this point.
Well, then it's your obligation to go as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah. But my point is that either or, I've never seen a cop pull anybody over.
This is true.
Because they stayed on the third lane.
Well, we've had a similar conversation to this before, man. But it's there is no kind of cultural model. Like we don't have like a system in our head where we explain, like you said, man. And a lot of times it doesn't even get explained in driving school, where it's like, why is it set up this way? Because it's been the same way since the 40s, man.
There you go.
It's just like high school.
Here's what I was going to say, though, man.
Things that you're not going to use in the real world.
The law enforcement has also been de-incentivized from enforcing functional laws. It's easier to fine you for a speeding ticket, whereas pulling you over every time that you don't use a blinker, they can. Yeah. It's almost like they're still on the books just so in case they need a gotcha, but they're not actually enforced in a way that changes the behavior of society, man.
In that situation, I always come back to the old school phrase: "Your country gets for what it pays." In a way, it's like.
Well, here's the thing: they keep talking about all the when we have. How was I put this? Oh. Well, if they make weed illegal, what are the cops going to get fines from? Stick them out on the road. Let's make it safer to drive. Personally, I say let's do away with speed limits and enforce all the other laws.
That sounds good.
Because, I mean, seriously, if you can get in that left-hand lane and do 100, and it's clear, I mean, do a fucking 100 miles an hour. By all means, drive safely if your vehicle's not capable of handling the speed.
Aren't there some highways here in the U.S. that have no speed limits?
Not in the U.S.
No, there are a few.
Yeah, there's a few. I know there's a few here in the States where there's no speed limit.
Doubt it. Very highly doubt it.
And every couple years, for the past 20 years, they've been kind of upping I think they've got it up to 90 in parts of West Texas.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful. You hit that and you go, oh, sanity.
The 10.
People do think.
I'm still going to do 110.
The 10 right after you enter Florida. Like, I want to say for about 50 to 60 miles right after you enter Florida, when you enter through, I remember when you enter Florida and you hit I can't pronounce it.
Tallahassee?
That one. There, the speed limit for about 50 to 60 miles, I still remember, is 90. I do remember that. And that's like the speed limit.
The max.
No. 90 is what you're supposed to go, which means, as everybody that knows, when the speed limit is 90, you can maybe go 93, 95, and you'll be fine or whatever. Maybe at 100, they'll get you because it's a 10-mile difference. But yeah.
But people still go 100.
Yeah, exactly, man. Ain't nobody gonna go 90 if it's 90. But going back to what y'all were saying about, no speed limits on highways in the U.S.
Well, for a certain distance, obviously. In your case, yeah.
What I was gonna say was,
look, I would even be willing to say, again, somebody's probably run the numbers on in this, and they could go, no, that won't work. But if you get on the highway, let's say that first lane, right there, the rightmost lane is, 65. Next lane is, 70 or 80. And then that third lane is do what you feel. You know what I mean? Make it a legitimate passing lane. It's like, look, once you get in that lane, you better be going faster than the guy behind you. And you better, be trying to pass somebody in the lane next to you.
Yeah. Well, I could see that.
I've I remember.
And the other thing is, if you're going a long fucking distance, because I know people that do what you're saying, where it's like, I'm going to get in the left lane, I'm just going to stay there till I have to get off. And it's like, okay, but you're only going like, 10 miles. Like, I'm going like 100 miles. Like, I want to get in that left lane and just stomp the fucking accelerator.
And that's fine. You can get in front of me and I'll chase you because we gonna both be going fast. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is I'm going 70 and this other fucker in the third lane and he's going 60. It's like, bitch, get your ass in the first lane and let me fucking,
That's what I was going to say. The only qualm I would have with what you're saying about, like, just driving straight in the left-hand lane is like, if you see somebody coming up behind you, you find a spot. I mean, even if it's just, I'm just going to duck in the lane and duck to the right real quick and then duck back in the left and keep going.
And to see, I never have that problem. Ain't nobody ducking like right behind me because I'm the one that's going 90, 95 and ain't nobody else going to be.
Sometimes I think about the reverse role. Like, here's an example. That right lane to get up, that get on lane.
Right.
What if that is completely just all full blast, just 100 plus? And here, this is sometimes I think I'll even draw schematics. Like, what if we lived in a different world?
Right.
The role reversal.
Ooh, we're getting deep. All right,
no, just bear with me. This is just traffic wise because I do a lot of driving sometimes from here to there to here. And in the left lane is you're slow but steady, and also a nice little off ramp. You still got your barrier and your lights. But it's a nice little off-ramp that takes you into town. Instead of going this long-ass way, U-E turns. Just a nice little off-ramp, nice little dug-in scenery, little lights. Gets you a nice little U-turn, and you're right into town. And it's a slow lane, slow and steady. But the right is fast and hard, and you have a nice little off-ramp to, like, lose some speed. Until, like, you hit the town for about a mile or two. You just let it ride. Just let off that gas and cruise it. That's what I think sometimes. Like, just reverse the roles, but that would never happen because we don't live in that kind of world.
Well, the thing is, you don't want... Unless we were going to swap the side of the road that we're on. I mean, that's the point is you don't want to have shit in the middle. I mean, you run into that in certain towns. Like, San Antonio is fucking crazy with...
obviously, there would be that off-ramp for the middle and then an on-ramp just to get on. But it would be confusing. I see how that would be confusing. Elevation. We'd have to lift the highways a little bit higher. Little U-turns, intersections.
I like the idea. All right, the guy that's going 100 miles an hour. I want him kind of to a certain extent. I want the road open for him. I want to be able to go as fast as they possibly can. Right. But I want him trapped over there in that left-hand lane. You can only go straight.
Yeah, but think about it though.
If you want to go 100 miles an hour,
it's a splatter zone. It's like a watermelon zone, what's that guy's name that always hits the watermelons?
Gallagher.
It's like a Gallagher zone, man. Once that car hits that barrier and debris flies, that debris is going to go faster than the initial car. And that's just a splatter zone for wherever's in that direction. I don't see how we've been doing that for years. And if you noticed, most of the accidents on highways are going to be on that left side. Poles are down. Other cars are victims. Windshields that are cracked. People get hit with debris that goes through the windshield.
As far as that goes, I'm very much a proponent of the idea of having an emergency access lane up the center of a divided highway. That's very useful.
We could do that.
And we do have that more than most places down here because of the fact that it's, we have the hurricane evacuation routes.
Yeah, that we do that.
And all that stuff. They've got the barriers set up so they can just move them out of the way and reroute traffic and all that shit.
Another problem that I have with highways here in the valley is simple. It's 2018. Why the fuck don't we have exits on both sides?
This is true.
I never fucking understood that. Yet we're getting a highway built that's gonna go around from Mission to Donna, or how the fuck is that gonna work? I don't know the specifics of it, but if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. It's supposed to go from Mission all the way to Donna on a loop. or some shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I see what you're talking about there, dude. It's Texas highways. They always are under construction. Well, what I-69, right? They've been working on that for the last 10 plus years.
Oh no, more than that, man.
More than that? Yeah.
Have you seen real quick? Senseless humor. Have you seen the meme of? And this is a true story, and they made it into a meme. There was a 7.5 or 8.0 earthquake that hit in China or Japan, and it made a huge mile long sinkhole in one of the highways. In 13 days time, they had the highway looking just the way it was before, and then that was on the top. And the one on the bottom, and then it just said "Meanwhile in Mission," and it had the fucking over there by La Oma where they never fucking finished the construction and inspiration.
Well, that's because over there they focus on people because they know what I'm saying is they focus on the transportation.
What a way to put that out there. Over there they focus on people. Here they don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, it's basically what I was getting to, but in a nutshell, that's basically it. Here we're trying to lead line our pockets with everything. You know,
pretty much.
Make our wallets thick. Make our credit cards loaded to the max.
I like your way of thinking, and I like how you're not blind to.
Oh no, dude!
Really
I know who runs this world.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now. I mean, they do make delicious drinks. They make delicious candies and all that stuff. But
the
in the end,
Rockefellers. Anyway,
we're not getting in that right now. We're not digging into that.
George Carlin, you have owners.
Oh, hey, how are you? I'd like to be a big entertainer one day.
Hey, Metasaurus.
But
I did not pay people to do that.
There was somewhere I was going with this shit. So yeah, just exits on. It would make it a lot fucking easier.
Yeah, dude. Picture this. You know how we have those little U-turns, right? These giant, freaking bedrock barriers that split the highway, right? Yeah. And there's that U-turn. Well, what I was saying earlier, what I meant was, what if we use that, but maybe about a mile ahead or so? You dig it in a way to where it's beautiful. You have pictures of the city or whatever in that little tunnel, and you meet like a little turn at the end of that barrier, where that curve, that little roundabout, you dig it in there. You dig it nicely in there. You make it nice and curved with that street, sort of like if I need to get off right now and I can't make it because this exit is shut down for some reason, or the next exit is over there for a mile or two, this is sort of an emergency. We got to get off now. That's what I was saying. That's what I was referring to. And I think you see what I'm getting at.
Yeah. The example that I was going to give. If you on going.
By the way, I got to say how we went from movies to studios to highways.
Hey, man.
The transportation of the United States of America.
We went from
functional progress, man. By the way, I think part of what y'all are getting at here with having the multi lanes and being able to exit out of the right and all that stuff, the problem comes. No, it's very simple. It's the age-old conundrum. Stupid people.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't give stupid people too many fucking options because they will try to take them.
Yes.
And
we still live in the world where they exist.
Yeah, no, but that goes to what I was saying.
Go away,
as far as having, the people that want to do 100 miles an hour jammed over in the left-hand lane, if they kill themselves, hopefully they don't go careening to the right. You want them to hit that wall and stay right fucking where they are.
Stop making reality.
We need that little package, Quiet Plus, from Children of Men. That's what we need today in this world.
Or stop making reality stars presidents.
I'm still waiting for that foam from Demolition Man, where he crashes the car into the fountain and it just
That's foam. Yeah. Oh, that was so great. That is a real invention right there.
They were working on some stuff for a while for crowd control for the Department of Defense type of thing.
Acoustic resonance something? Or they blast this high frequency?
You notice you don't see those as much anymore. It's kind of like they figured out, like, oh shit, this is way too easy to get some bad press. Like I think they microwaved a few people with that. Not to death, but just mildly.
Yeah, that was an actual.
I think they burned the inside of some guy's eyeball or something.
Oh, it's funny. We have military channels on Discovery and History Channel that talk about stuff like that, but nobody understands. Like, nobody watches those. It's boring. It's always war stuff. It's just boring. Give me something with tits and ass. God damn it! It's like you have a channel that's basically showing you the weapons of your demise, if need be, if the time comes, and yet you don't care. Like, remember that show, Future Weapons?
Yeah,
with some bald Marine guy. By the way, that was a cool show. I watched it. Individual, your name? I forget your name. You're cool. But the weapons were just incredible.
Yeah.
And these were weapons that we still use to this day. Smart missiles, smart shells, able to plow through concrete that is 6 feet, 8 feet thick. Right. I mean, it is amazing that that show was on the air for like 2 seasons, I think. And then they realized, oh no, the rest of the world is learning what we do. Let's hide this channel for now. We'll come back in 10 years and we'll call it History Military Channel. So, yeah, that's what happens.
Well, this one thing I was seeing, man, and I don't remember where. It may have been on one of those, let's show you what we're working on type of shows. But the idea was it was a spray that when it first got sprayed out, it was very slippery, very viscous. So, like, you couldn't stand up. So, if, say, you wanted to control a line of a crowd, you would spray this in front of them, and anybody on the front line would, fucking fall down, whatever. And then it gets very sticky.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I think it was Future Weapons. It was part of a non-lethal way to take down protesters or rioters.
Right. I think it was genius, but to be fair, I think one of the talking points against it was the idea that if you sprayed down, if you make a piece of sidewalk extremely slippery, now all of a sudden you're liable for any injuries that occur from falling people and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then what if you get it on somebody's face and now they can't breathe and you're like, fuck.
Oh, lawsuits.
Damn you.
We're going to find a way to control them again.
That's funny.
It's funny, but it's true. I mean, this shit happens on a normal basis.
It is true.
Like, crowd control is one of the oldest conundrums of city management.
Oh, yeah, dude. And it's sad where these weapons get tested. I mean, it's sad when you know that when you follow that story, you follow the lineage or line of that story, they're tested in the battlefield. If it works on these, terrorists, you can call innocent people terrorists, but if it works on them, then highly unlikely it's going to work on our people.
Yeah. There was two more things that I wanted to, and it's not like I'm trying to end this. I just want to throw them out there before I fucking forget. But I will go from light to heavier.
Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, because I want to talk about something cool that doesn't get us blacklisted in the fucking video and audio world.
I mean, talking about Department of Defense Black Ops isn't fucking cool.
Is that a Black Hawk helicopter right here?
It's conspiracy time, kids.
There's been a fucking immigration fucking helicopter outside for the past couple of hours.
Oh, geez. They fly overhead all the time.
Dude, I was watching one of those, how to make it big on Twitch videos on YouTube a while back. And one of the suggestions was, and just remember, if you get a sizable type of channel going on, you might want to let the local authorities know that where you live and what you do, because you don't want to get swatted. Holy shit!
Yeah, that is brought up in every little tutorial, because there are trolls out there, man. They will.
Oh yeah.
Fuck this guy. Fuck him, and fuck what he's doing. I'm gonna fucking see if I can get killed.
But dude, that guy that got or the guy that actually made the call on that last case. Oh shit! Was that last November?
Yeah, when that guy got
November,
killed?
Or was that earlier this year?
No, I think it was earlier this year. When the gentleman was shot and killed by a sheriff's department.
Yeah, man. That guy was trying to, if you watch the interviews with him, he was trying to justify it as a legitimate tactic. It's like, nah, man, I'm just trying to like disrupt, the flow of shit. It's like, what the fuck are you? You're calling heavily armed cops on people you don't know, motherfucker.
You know, I read an article recently that we live in a generation of sociopaths. And they're walking all along. They're walking along with us, man, everywhere. Yeah, it was an article. I'm not sure if it was.
I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, I know.
Well, okay. Don't do that. I was about to explain and shit. No, dude, we live in the era of sociopaths. With the technology today that we have available at our hands, it kills. It doesn't kill. It subdues the way to communicate in person. For example, I was watching a video recently. This gentleman has a nice little YouTube channel where he plays board games, and he says they're actually more interesting and incredible than games today on the social network. And by the way, shout out to you, sir. I forget your name. And if I remember, I'll post it later. But he says there is a social contract when you're face to face in a board game. I see you, you see me. We agree to these terms that before us, and we will play with the utmost respect to each other. We will not be disrespectful. We will not cuss each other out. There may be some disagreements here and there, but there is a social contract.
That doesn't apply to Call of Duty Online.
No, it doesn't. That social contract does not apply, which means anything goes. I can call you the C word, the N word, the F words as many times as I want, little, all these kinds of obscenities. There's no social contract. It creates and it breeds, well, a generation of sociopaths and dumbasses.
Yeah.
To quickly touch on the Call of Duty thing, I don't think that. Actually, I think quietly it has become an accepted idea, but for a while there, when you get hardcore first-person shooters into conversations about the dialogue and the social dynamic that was taking place on these games. Be like, oh man, Call of Duty's killing it. It's like freaking all these kids are coming in, they're joining and yada yada, and they're just ruining the entire experience. And the positive has been that there are more really good shooters available now that are not Call of Duty, that are not well known.
There's a lot on Steam.
And that have very not necessarily positive communities, but they have very civil communities compared to what we were kind of used to for a while there. So Call of Duty and Black Ops and all that are not Black Ops. What's the other one? Battlefield. Have kind of acted as this aggregator for the unconscious assholes who kind of, it's like, I want to play a shooter. I'm going to get on and kill some people. It's like, okay, here's your Call of Duty. I'm going to quietly walk over here and play this game you've never heard of, and hopefully you never will.
Oh, man.
Spit on the mic a little bit there. Got too excited. Too excited.
I'm horny for this shit. No. Dude, that's a good point. There's the mainstream, this perverted rainbow, as you will. And underneath that rainbow is the true legit gamers that want to play games, strategize, talk to each other on a regular basis as you're a human being, I'm a human being. Let's find a way to play this game peacefully. Stuff like that. It's Mountain Dew and all this other stuff on top. No offense, Mountain Dew. You just popped in like that. That's the advertisements, the frequencies and the waves. I'm picking up on those right now. I'm craving Mountain Dew for some reason.
Well, we've had the conversation before, man. You and I specifically, and I think on this podcast we've kind of touched on this a little bit. The idea of, you and I specifically have talked about the idea of the NPC.
The non-playable characters.
And that
was a bit I actually ran for a while, and it was good until people were like, "Hey, pero I'm not an NPC. I can think, fool." It's like, really?
Break your function.
Break your function. Where's the tilde key? Let me delete this NPC.
but here's the thing, man. I think I've laid this on you before. The idea of the pantheistic solipsism. The idea that we're all NPCs in somebody else's story. I actually, for a while there, I was using the example of, we're all both authors of our own tale as well as characters in a multitude of other stories.
This is true.
I used an example a while back where it was like basically all these NPCs are also game developers at the same time.
Code writers, yeah.
And I've actually found that concept bleeding over into how I play video games when I do play something like a role-playing game or even when I'm playing something like GTA where it's like, just murder everybody. It's like, no, man, I don't.
I love that catchphrase now.
Like,
So, shirt.
I treat,
Murder everybody.
I treat the NPCs in video games like they're another player. And now granted, sometimes you're playing certain games, they incentivize you to, they're just an object in the game world. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people treat other players like they're objects. You see this on the highway, going back to that, man.
Yeah.
People treat the other cars on the road as if they're static objects with they don't even seem to contemplate the idea that at any moment this car could just swerve in front of you or slam on the brakes or do anything. I mean, I was talking earlier about, occasionally I will tailgate as a bit of retributionary. But here's the thing, man. I always do it very mindfully of the fact that, like, I'm matching your speed. You know what I mean? It's like you're playing a game without being aware of the rules. I'm going to show you how very complicated and dangerous this. And granted, it's selfish as fuck. It's very obnoxious.
I'm not gonna lie. I do the same thing. Brake checks every once in a while.
I don't brake check. Brake check is what I won't go that far, man. Just because.
Well, I'm a little daring myself. I mean, I've been in a car wreck or two. I know what's waiting for me. I'll do that brake check. Get off my tail, motherfucker. Goddamn, get off my tail.
I try to do everything in the world to make it as safe as possible for the people behind me. Now, everybody in front of me is fair game, but it's. I mean, because that's it's kind of the concept on life, man. Where it's like, look, you are in charge of your own destiny, but if you make it easier for the people that are having to stare at the back of your head while you're doing this, then there's a possibility that if they get in front of you, or if you're in a situation where you need cooperation, they're more likely to give it to you if you weren't a complete dickbag.
And I bet you they're salesmen. They're sales reps. That's what they are. Did you guys know that? Sales reps are most likely to be sociopathic.
Well, because they have to sell shit for a living.
They gotta lie. They gotta manipulate. They gotta enable.
I've made that argument a couple times, man. I think sociopathy and psychopathy are survival traits that have come down to us through the generations of. And
it's sad that part of the DNA still exists.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it is, man. I think there are still certain situations. Salesmen, for example, man. There are certain activities that those quirks. I was about to say kinks, but that's something else.
That's something else.
Kinky sociopath. Now you got problems. But no, there are certain quirks. There are certain temperaments that are productive in when they're implemented properly. I was going to get to this. I think what we're having now is that our civil interaction between each other has been allowed. We're no longer incentivized to act like nice people.
Oh, yeah.
So like back in the day, man, the sociopath would look around and go, shit, all these people are, because that's the whole thing about sociopathy. It's like, I don't get why these people are acting this way, but it seems to make them happy, so I'll act this way too.
I'll blend in.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You don't have to blend now. You can go online and
you can be yourself, and people will follow that person.
Well, no, I don't just mean that, but if you have somebody who is legitimately sociopathic and doesn't have that kind of empathy factor going on with people, if they're not incentivized to blend in, I mean, great. Well, remember, be yourself, be, the fragile little, unique snowflake that you are. But by all means, man,
society.
like, granted, I am all for the quirky people. You know what I mean? The weird little unicorns of existence that pop up every once in a while. But while we're all together in a big group, if you need a helmet, wear a helmet. But don't ask, don't try to act like we don't need, if you're out in public, act like a grown up, damn it. You know what I mean? Act civil, be polite, be these things so that it's social lubricant.
Well, remember, some of these traits are actually interchangeable with each other. Remember, so they blend in, they might not blend in. But I see what you're saying. Don't make us feel like we don't need that helmet or we need that helmet. I see what you're saying. Right,
man. I mean, it's all right. Great example would be
real quick.
We left them out again.
So I don't know about wearing a helmet. I wore a helmet when I was a kid. That shit was not fun. So fuck the both of you and your helmet. I'm not good with the helmet part. So
I think it was Joe Rogan who was talking about the idea of if you run around nerfing all the corners of the world, you're going to wind up with a generation full of people who don't think it's a bad thing to bang their head into stuff every once in a while.
And we see the videos on YouTube. We see them.
Yep.
Self-pain. I mean, There's some really.
I'll be honest. If I'm gonna get sadistic in my video watching, I'm going to live leak. Somebody gonna die.
Oh man, don't even get me started. Like you'll fall down that rabbit hole pretty quick. Your curiosity will not end. I've been down that rabbit hole, and it's some scary shit.
Look, police brutality here in the United States concerns me greatly, and it's something that I am very mindful of in the greater conversation that we need to have as a society. Police brutality in Brazil is fucking entertaining. Sorry for the Brazilians, but Jesus, man, those fuckers do not. Have you seen the one where the lady, the off-duty female officer was dropping her kid off at elementary, and the guy tried to rob all the moms that were standing around? She whips that 45 out of her purse and just bam, bam. Dude, she hit him, like, she shot him through the stomach and hit his spine. So he's lying on the ground like, just fucking end it now.
Jeez.
Like,
speaking of South America, is Venezuela still under...
Oh, they're fucked. They're fucked.
They're still under that whole martial law thing?
Oh, get this. Citgo, which is the gas company, the gas distributor that they own, just went through bankruptcy court, and they either owe something like, I think it may have been $1 billion, man. But if they don't pay it up soon here, the entire company is going to go for auction, which means that they lose whatever advantage they do have as far as the leg that their economy is still standing on is about to get kicked out from under them.
Because last I read that the country was basically run by the wealthy. Is that still going on?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, that's with every country in the world.
Well, that's true, but this is like legit. We can see it in the underdog news.
Now, my understanding of the way the oligarchy type of situation is set up with Venezuela, though, is that they're not, they never achieved that cohesive nature with the government, so that
right. That's
for example, the food shortage thing, if I understood that correctly, a lot of the initial problems with that were that the owners of the distributors were basically pissed off at Maduro's government, so they just like, well, we won't ship food to the grocery stores. It's like,
damn, dude, can you imagine that?
Yeah, it's not like they can't get toilet paper.
It's a gallon of water.
Jesus, man,
that's crazy.
But that's the thing, is it's a lot of it is a political pissing match. It's not like all of a sudden the country is so broke that they can't afford groceries. And it's still a very wealthy nation. It goes
back again because the only ones going into this political pissing match is back to your comment of the wealthy. And unfortunately, the only ones that get the short end of the stick is the people.
Now, here's the one thing I always think of. And I'm going to write a novel one day. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to hammer it out. It's going to be a beautiful novel. But the one line I always come back to is this. We don't have to be this way. We don't. We were psychologically conditioned to accept the fact that everything will always and should always have a price tag on it.
Exactly.
We were socially conditioned. Now I'm talking to all of you out there. Why do we still accept this as the realm that we live in? Why? Because you think your bank account's going to get empty, or your bills will be unpaid and your light will be out? No. Collectively as a race, we have that power to say no.
No, but
you work for us.
But you know why though? Because, and I've always said this, and every time that I say this, they look at me like I'm the crazy one. It comes down to one very simple thing, and that one very simple thing is power. It's the thing about power that there's something in our egotistical nature that we just want to have power.
We want to control others.
And control others.
Yeah.
And you control others with the number one thing. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The number one thing you control others is money. The second thing that you control others with is religion. Now, before everybody gets their panties up in a bunch and everything, I believe in God. Okay. Right? Yeah. But I don't believe in religion. Those are two very different things. Those are two very distinct different things. You know what I'm saying?
Just like how I always used to say there was a thing as believing in a God who exists, possibly in some what type of way, and there's believing in a God that was written by man.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
Well, I see what you mean, but my following, and I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but and my thing is that it's very simple. Again, because religion was created by man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why religion is flawed to me.
Oh yeah.
Right? So that's why I don't believe in religion.
And some people will never probably understand that.
Exactly. And they can't differentiate. But to go back to the main point that I'm trying to make and to answer your question again, it's a sense of empowerment. And in our egotistical nature, we just want to have power over somebody or something else. It's just unfortunately who we are. Like that shit about being a decent person. I hate to break it to you, brother, but we're really not.
I know.
I'm not.
But there is that part of hope where I still grab onto that hope that there is a possibility that one day
because
we could pull through
if you don't, you would go crazy and you would like. I think that not unless you're a complete asshole, like a complete 200% asshole, everybody has a small piece in us that holds on to that hope. That holds on to the hope of one day I'll wake up to a better day, to a better way of where we all love each other instead of hating each other.
Now,
we all.
If we could wake up one day and we live in a voluntary-based world, I would, by all means, I would volunteer every other day. If I want a Blu-ray player, I'll volunteer myself to make it for myself, and maybe for another person who is a good friend of mine. I would volunteer. I would love to do that. I would love to know how that works.
But let me. You know
what I mean? Like a volunteer kind of based system.
I got you. But let me knock you off that horse.
Oh.
So, no, because I'm.
Can it be a pony?
A pretty pony.
So you're on a volunteer basis, right? You said I'll volunteer myself to make it for myself.
Well, in the sense of we all have responsibility. We live on the same planet.
Yeah. But if you do that, I got a couple of questions. When you manufacture this yourself, and let's say you're fully capable of doing it.
Right.
My first question is, where are you going to get the parts from?
A factory that was established by individuals that said, you know what? This is for the people and by the people. We'll just leave everything here. We'll leave the instructions. You do as you will.
I think what y'all are outlining right here and what a lot of the conversations like this always kind of come up to is the idea that we're not going to come up with the perfect universal society that will fit every human being on Earth.
Well, because it comes back to psychologically conditioned to believe.
Right. Well, even within a population, man, like I would very much... I mean, I know, again, going back to Carlin, I know he threw it out as a joke of, let's take one of these squared states and we'll just, that'll be the free zone. His idea was we'll throw all the criminals in there. But honestly, if we took like a state like, Arizona, Nevada, one of these, lightly populated, well, even then, man, there's oil and all kinds of shit there. This is the problem.
That's why you choose an island to put them all on.
Well, no, because you don't want an island, man. What you want is, I don't know, maybe even do like a border zone. Like, what if you just took, say, the entire border region down here in the valley and turned it into kind of an autonomous zone where it's like, look, we have basic laws. You can't murder, you can't steal, and you can't, various things like that. But as far as regulation, as far as taxes, as far as it's like, okay, your road and mission sucks. You better get together with your neighbors, man, because you're not getting that. And that's one reason is why no place would want to do that. But like, what do you mean we don't get federal money? It's like, yeah, but you also don't have federal control. You get to choose what you want to do, and it basically works as a spill gap for the individualists that we do have in society, the libertarian minded, the anarcho minded.
That's funny.
Now, on the flip side of that, man, the same kind of region would also work for people who are, say, communally minded.
Right.
I mean, one of the reasons I've joked about this, but one of the reasons things that turned me away from kind of studying concepts of communism was the idea of like, oh, everybody has to be able to be a farmer in that society. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to fill every single role, because the moment that you get somebody in a communist setup that is a specialist and that is a required presence, you've set up a hierarchy that deviates resources from the communal structure.
Well, remember, this is the most incredible muscle in the world. Right. Petabytes. This information can be stored. I mean, if you could teach an entire civilization every single aspect, let them decide at one point, what do you want to do? You've learned this, you learned that, you've learned this as well, including with this. What would you like to do?
I wanna go back to just real quick, because that ties into what y'all are talking about now. And I want to throw this idea out there seriously so that y'all can think about it. And if y'all want to chime in, you can, or not. But
I will say this real quick.
Go for it.
In these societies, there's always room for that one alpha gene. That one alpha gene that wants to destroy it. There's always going to be that alpha gene.
Because there's always that. Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's why you have to leave room for them.
Yeah. You got to make them happy too.
The stupid people and super intelligent people are always the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The rest of them will just go where you tell them to.
It's very simple, man. Like I feel the solution is very simple, and the rebuttal that everybody gives me, I have the answer to, but it just doesn't fit in their mind. So going back to the thing, because this has been my argument before. Why can't we just get rid of money? Forget it. Everybody that still grows food, keep growing food, keep doing what you're doing. Just completely forget about money. Do everything that we still do. But like you said, do it for you, do it for the people. We keep progressing, so on and so forth.
But
hold on, time out.
Okay.
So then the rebuttal becomes, but then why would I do it for no money? And then the answer to that, or the question to that is, why do you need that money? And then
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it's because, remember, let's say, for example, tomorrow. Well, let's not say tomorrow. Let's say in a week, we did that. We dropped all dollars, all quarters, dimes, nickels, everything. And we started doing that. There's still going to be that program in there that tells these farmers, what am I really going to get out of this? And it's not going to compare. It's not going to comprehend right there in that moment in time that they're helping other people eat, sleep, live in comfort, enjoy. To them, that's not going to register. All they're going to see is, I'm doing this for nothing.
You're again, with that reply, you're showing me yourself that you're missing the connection.
Oh, I'm not.
Well, just to be clear, I think you guys are running once again into the wall that I just pointed out, which is like you're assuming that to build a new model and a new system, you need to abandon the old one.
Oh no,
what you need is parallel.
If this and complementary systems, fresh.
No, you can't go fresh, dude. It's never going to fucking happen, man. Look,
no, I'm talking war. Conflict.
That's what I was going to get to.
It needs to happen. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
Burn! No, man. Look, here's the thing. Money is useful.
I still feel y'all missed my point.
I'm going to go to it real quick. Money is basically the abstract representation of potential, whatever it is. Like that's all it is, man. It's either it represents
this man's a capitalist venture.
But here's the thing: you need it because some people are more ambitious than other people. Like, look, let's say we have complete universal health care.
Those are the alpha genes.
We need them. We need our psychos. We need our benevolent philosopher kings. Here's where I'm getting to, though. You do need money because there are some people who are more ambitious than others. And if they don't have a means as an outlet, if they're not incentivized to go like shit, okay.
It comes back to programming.
We've all got houses, right? But you got that one person who goes, I want a bigger house. And it's like, okay, well, the way you get a bigger house is you have to provide some service or good that other people are willing to share their resources with you to acquire. And then you can take those resources and build whatever the fuck you want out of them. Whatever you want to do. Like if somebody goes like, hey, I think I can build, a better, neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well then you're going to need resources to do that. So that neighborhood better be able to supply some sort of useful product or service. That's where money comes in.
You're still applying that old school model.
Time out. I have a question for Sean.
What's it called?
My question is
treat
simple.
model. The treat model. I do something
my question,
good, I get a treat.
They
help me, we get treats.
Yeah, but here's the difference though. In the model I'm outlining, it's an extra. It's not like you're not being fed. It's not like, oh, I have to work to eat. It's like, no, you get to eat. You get to sleep indoors. You get air conditioning. You get TV. But you want anything else after that, you won't have to get it yourself.
I'm just waiting for the third war to get here. Fuck it. We've reached an impasse in this conversation. Fuck it. Let's just wait for that third war.
My question remains the same. Like, with all that shit you explained.
Why money?
Yeah, it's not necessary.
It is necessary though, man. Okay, look, there are a lot of people, I would say I would be willing to...
Let me put it more plainly. That coin and that piece of cloth, because that's what it is. It's not fucking paper.
It's cotton. Yeah.
It's cloth, cotton, whatever the fuck. Is not needed. If you didn't have it, if it didn't exist, if it wasn't a figment of your imagination, you would still eat today, is my point. You would still eat today. You would still have clothes on your back. You would still have a roof over your head. Why? Because
And then tomorrow I'd go out and rob my neighbor.
Of what?
Their shit, because I ain't got no shit no more, man.
Why not?
Oh, Sean, I thought you were a better person. Damn it.
No, look, I will be a benevolent dictator, but if we go Mad Max up in this motherfucker.
That's funny.
Yeah, I can see you doing that.
Just walk away.
I can see you with a mask and everything.
Do not become addicted to water, my friends.
It comes.
You will resent it.
It comes. It comes back to the same thing. The power.
Look, here's the thing, man. If you take, let's say you take 1,000 people and you give them food, education, water, housing, yada, yada. They've got free public transport. They can go wherever they want within the community that you built for them. Nothing is wanting as far as basic human needs. You are going to get individuals in that system, regardless of how much you provide for them, that are going to want more.
That's when you Hunger Game the shit out of them.
No, man. You have to divert their...
You get rid of that gene.
No, man. You're talking eugenics now, man. And that's a problem. Because we don't know, again, going back to sociopathy and psychopathy.
That's the only way I can see. No,
but there's no...
I'm kidding.
There's no way to know what's not useful. There's no way to know what won't at some point in time be a necessary adaptation.
Well, we're not. No one sees the bigger picture. What I'm getting at is this: if you take those rather than taking those ultra ambitious people and somehow trying to shame them into not assimilation, that's not the right word, conformity. What you do is give them a productive outlet that then benefits the greater community as a whole. What it is? I think it's
like we wouldn't be the country that we are if we didn't have the rich robber barons of the early 20th century.
That's what it is.
Again,
it's that part of the gene.
Give them a purpose.
That's probably what it is. So it comes down to the human body.
But some people are going to want to perform different purposes.
Yeah.
Like
we always need to do something.
And you don't need.
But then again, that's psychologically conditioned.
Yes.
We don't have to be programmed to believe we need to do something.
No, it's not always psychologically conditioned. Sometimes it's a condition of temperament. I'm telling you, man, there are certain
genes may be there, but they're dormant and they're not unlocked.
That is true for a lot of things. I will go that far with you, but I am convinced at this point, and maybe
let's not unlock them.
Maybe
let's not unlock those genes.
Okay, well, this goes to the eugenics argument.
You can't say something without being eugenic. I know.
No. What I'm saying is, look, the problem is eugenics became a dirty word because it was invented by a bunch of fucking elitist racists.
Yeah,
we're
not going there.
What do you mean we influenced the Nazis? Yeah.
All right.
So look, what I'm saying is we don't know what might be useful down the line. Yes, we are more and more aware of, say, there are certain behavioral disorders that For example, there was that big craze in the 90s in the UK where they were like, oh, these kids are smoking weed and they're getting schizophrenia. And it's like, okay, well, here's the thing. Maybe you have a bunch of schizophrenics because you live on an island with a shitload of inbreeding.
Yeah.
The fact that they were smoking weed, it was just to alleviate the stress of living on the island with all you shitheads. But no, man, all right. We are aware that certain people shouldn't be smoking weed, shouldn't be doing LSD.
Yeah,
there are certain people that shouldn't drink alcohol because the body just goes, time to shut off the recording equipment and turn on the bad decision making.
Blackout time.
But what I'm saying is, man, there are going to be certain temperaments that are going to pop up along the way that you have to leave room for.
The different amplitudes of
you
the
can't
universal
have
cosmos. I know.
That goes back to the thing about having parallel models in place, parallel optional and complementary models.
I just like having this conversation with you guys because I just want to live life. I really don't care.
Again, you need to have that option there, man. There are going to be people who don't care.
I know.
Like talk every time the conversation about universal basic income comes up. It's like, well, there are going to be people that are just going to sit around eating pizza and playing video games all day.
I read it today.
Let them.
I read the news today. Is healthcare in this nation a birthright?
Right now, it's not.
It's not.
Wasn't a single fucking mention in there.
I know, right? It's just one of those random article titles that you just read and like, what? What the fuck?
It's never been.
No, I think I read it. I said that wrong. Should it be a birthright? Healthcare.
Yeah, why not? They waste money on stupid shit. Why not?
This is a good point. Billions of dollars in defense.
Well, here's the thing. The only program that we really have to compare it to is something like, I think it's Medicare and Social Security. Medicare, not so much, but
I can answer your question too of why it's not.
Go for it.
The reason as to why it's not universal for everybody is because, and yes, I'm gonna say it, the fact is that the government makes more money off of sick people.
This is true.
Than what they do with, like, if you remain healthy. So how does that translate? Because I've heard people say, well, just because you have insurance, it doesn't mean you'll remain healthy. Yes, that's true. But if people could afford health care, they would be less sick. Fuck, it's my ADD. Sorry. They would be less likely to be as sick as long as they are for people that don't have health care, because you would be able to take care of yourself. The people that are really sick and are sick constantly, if you really pay attention, or a lot of those people do not have access to health care or doctor visitation, vaccines, and all that shit. And the fact of the matter is, because the government makes more money if you're sick than if you're healthy. Just like the government makes a lot more money, or I'm sorry, I'll say it like this. There is a lot more money to be made if you're in prison than if you're out in the free world.
This is true.
That's just the fact of the matter. And yes, I fucking said it.
Well, I would say
yes and no, man. Now that's a whole different argument as far as like I've got big issue with the idea of privatized prison labor. I personally, having read at least enough of the literature on it, I think there is something to be said for having prison populations active and involved in the labor of maintaining the facility itself. Like they have found that like prisons where the prisoners are in control of say the janitorial maintenance and the electric and the groundskeeping and all that, they have less problems as far as like violent social issues in the populations, because they've got there is that subtle little, this is our place now. But then there's also the thing is they actually going back to purpose, man. They have something to do,
And they feel like they need something to do. Because if they don't, they're going to go back to their old ways of, arson, felony, murder.
Right.
So
It always. I believe it'll always come back to that.
Not just
the
that, but
human
if you
brain
have a bunch
needs to do something.
Yeah, but if you have a bunch of people sitting around that don't have something occupying their active mind, that's a psychological thing. Like if you just tell, like you can put somebody in the nicest, most comfortable room in the world, but if they have nothing to do, they will lose their shit.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing is, once they start losing their shit, well, now you have them packed in the same room together. It's be like, fuck you, no, fuck you. And now shit's...
Now they got something to do.
Aw.
They got something to do.
They create their own activities.
They're going to love each other at the end of this program.
So real quick, before we get into something else, just final thoughts.
Pharmaceutical. It's the corporations. They are the ones that say, no, some of you will be sick. Some of you'll be fine.
Oh no! My question, what I was going to say was final thoughts of what we were talking about, and I'll give you the example. My final thought is, money's still not necessary. You can still live. Your final thought,
Sean? You want to fill that gap while I think of something?
I think when you say money in that statement, we're talking about two separate things.
We're not. You can see it as two separate things, but
I'll lay out a small possibility for you, man. Because of the fact that money itself is an abstract, it is easily...
I do agree with you on that.
But here's
money
the thing,
being
man.
an abstract, I agree.
It's become a it goes from a physical mechanization. That's not the right word. A thing that happens. There is a physical event. The currency, money itself, is the trading of that potential and goods between individuals for the further purpose of greater activity. That becomes the abstract of, okay, here's a coin. Now, the thing is, the coin itself then is a physical object which then becomes an abstract. We think of gold as being riches.
Well, don't forget, Sean, that there is a system based around that coin and how that coin comes into existence.
Exactly.
Balance, checks,
which don't really
how much is backed
anymore.
up by backed up what. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Fair enough. Okay, well, one of the things that fascinates me about cryptocurrency, and at some point we'll have Luis back in here to have another further conversation on that. I don't know if maybe you want to jump into that at some point. I think the original idea was to have you in on that podcast, by the way. Doesn't matter, man. Life happens.
We
needed something to do.
You get it.
But what I was going to say was, man,
you're taking this shit.
When it comes to the cryptocurrency, it requires that understanding of the abstract, because you get people going like, well, it's just numbers on a paper. It's like, yes, but those numbers represent actual potential and actual productivity and goods at the end of the line. You know what I mean?
This topic.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't stick the abstract as like, oh, dude, you can't like make it rain with Bitcoins. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's no social abstract of the coin itself.
What country recently created a new blockchain? Who was it? I read the article and I forgot who was the country that created a new blockchain. Well, they're going to create a new blockchain by the end of this month. Damn.
It's a useful technology, man. But I think a lot of that is going to allow us to back up some of the layers on these abstract concepts that we have.
But when you think about it, cryptocurrency, there's a lot of companies, shell companies, just basically empty nothingness,
right? That
are created by hackers. They take what they can and then they drop out and they find a way to offload that currency into real currency.
But according
that kind of goes to what I'm talking to, because there are games going on alongside. They're, rather than being parallel and complementary, they're parallel and parasitic, so that within. If we're all accepting the model of, the dollar has value, well, then the dollar now becomes the representation of not just the potential and goods. It also becomes the representation of almost a religious aspect. You know what I mean? It's okay to believe in God, but the second that you think the guy with the funny collar should be telling me how to live my life, now we got a problem. Wait, Bernanke told me to do what now?
Does he still run the Fed?
I don't know. It just Bernanke was the same first name. He's a funny name.
It is funny. It's
Bernanke.
It's like borderline burr naked.
So, on to something a little...
Bare naked economists.
Yeah, we run the show.
Got your money, got your dough.
There you go.
On to something a little lighter, man.
Yeah, let's do that, shall we? Let's talk about something that makes us...
Something a little lighter real quick.
That tickles the brain in there a little bit.
What, the future of humanity? Doesn't it fascinate you?
I want to...
We can't do that right now. Not even in 10, 15, 20 years. There's no way.
I've got this joint. Oh, wait. No, it's in my other pocket.
Let's face it. Everything we just talked about, the real face of it is nothing but brutal conflict.
Yep.
The real face of it, if we tried to enact on what we said tonight, anything we said tonight, it'd probably be a brutal conflict.
Now, let me tell you why I got a silver lining on that, though.
Because somebody.
I don't think it's diametric might not be the right word for it, but I don't think it's a black and white scenario. It's not, Army number
Where's
one.
the gray? Tell me the gray, Sean.
It's all fucking gray for the most part, man.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, man. It's look, we're all kind of pulling at this from various directions. Like the idea of when they map out political tendencies, it's a bell curve, right?
Yeah.
So you get, the most people are right up here in the middle, and they're all kind of relatively similar. But then you get towards the outsides of those spectrums, and they're actually a little bit closer to each other than the folks in the middle, who are, are across a broad spectrum, but they're all kind of coming at it from these different ideas. Whereas you get on the end and it's like, I'll kill you if you don't say what I do. Well, no, I'll kill you if you don't say what I do. Well, you're both saying different things. So I think I'll kill you both.
You, sir, are on a different wavelength.
Look, it's real simple. We get the Crips together and we get the Bloods together, and then we shoot all of them because they're making problems for the rest of us.
Oh, wow. This just got real.
All right, let's replace it with capitalists and communists, man. Let's replace it with socialists and authoritarians.
If there's any Crips and Bloods watching, that was a joke, and I have no affiliation with the gentleman on the right of me.
I'm just a guest on the show.
The motherfucker. It doesn't matter what.
He's turning red.
It's anger and resentment. No, man, it doesn't matter what label you stick on it. The point in the game at which you go, there's one side and another. It's like, no, there are various teams on the field, but this is pretty much football where, every line on the outside of the field is the touchdown. You know what I mean?
Everything's lava.
Yeah, basically.
Can't we all just get along, guys?
So the trick is you got to throw the corpses of your enemies down on the lava and then use that as a stepping stone to get to your next. But what I'm saying is, man, you can never go, that's my opponent. Because it's like, no, you may have a difference of a contentious point right now on a specific issue. But the second you go, I can't stand, people who think like that. It's like, well, then you're going to have a hard fucking life, buddy, because there's a lot of them out there. You just pick one, man. You know what I mean?
Every half a dozen.
It's like that, the joke about people who eat ass. For years, they just lived in a little self-imposed bubble of just, well, I guess I'm the only one. And then the internet came along. And now...
I'm not the only one that eats ass.
Yeah. Now we're all tasting ass a little bit.
I think the internet is what caused this cataclysmic event to just happen. I think so.
It's the catalyst, man. It's the thing that's requiring us to have these conversations, because if we're not having these conversations, somebody else is.
Oh, at this moment in time, I'm sure there's at least another 600 conversations across this great state of ours. And then you multiply that by 50, and then the world, maybe a decent, 15,000 conversations like this.
Dude, the world is so weird at this point. There's probably a couple goat herders somewhere up in the mountains in Afghanistan smoking a spliff going like, you know how we could fix the economy?
Oh, man. I was watching a documentary recently, I think it was Vox, that we tried to establish a road over there, but yet it kept getting demolished by IEDs and everything. Oh, yeah. And it became like this biggest problem in Afghanistan. We could never finish that road.
Dude, I
think it was called the Circle Highway or something like that. It hits every major city and village.
Okay.
Like a giant circle.
My cousin did road clearing in Afghanistan a couple years back, and the last time I saw him before he got deployed, he was, a young, boisterous man with, fresh out of college, tattooed up and just like, woo, piss and vinegar. And then the next time I saw him, he had gray in his hair and he was very quiet.
Yeah, that 1,000-yard stare?
Yeah, man. It was like, Jesus, lad.
That's how my brother came back. He's no longer my little brother. He was a Balboa with a 1,000-yard stare.
Yes, sir. No, sir. And don't make any sudden movements.
No, that's not how it happened. Let me tell you the real story. Sit down. Not even looking at you. Just sit down.
So there we were in the hills of Kabul.
Oh, no. Oh, that happened.
So
let's talk about something else.
On to something lighter.
You guys like M&M's?
Just real quick, man.
I like to eat.
56 rapes.
Wait, what are you accusing him of?
56 rapes. One white justice system and one black man. 10 years.
3 years.
3 to 10.
What's going on?
Bill Cosby, man.
Oh, yeah. Didn't he just walk scot-free?
No, I've just told you what he got.
He's going to have to do 3 years.
Oh, he's 3 years?
3 to 10.
Yeah.
Practically walking away.
Yeah.
So, a couple of things. First of all,
I was hoping we can do this podcast without going into the whole Me Too thing. Because that's a scary subject.
Why the fuck is that a scary?
It's a scary subject, man.
Why?
I was thinking about it today. Let me tell you an example. I work in an environment that requires everyone to be fast. It's a fast food industry. It's a fast food joint. There will be times in my day I accidentally bump into females, normally this general area and up, and it's always an accident. It's an accident. You know how many times a day I say, I'm sorry? I didn't mean to hit your right bosom or your left. And you know how many times a day I have to say that? I'm sorry. And I'm afraid that one day that sorry is not going to carry weight as it should. And I'm going to be in the office. Oh, lawsuit is pending, sir. You sexually assaulted this woman. I just hit her and I said, I'm sorry with my elbow. It's a fast food joint. We're always moving. I just thought about that today, and I'm like, man, you can't walk 5 feet without somebody saying something.
It's that thought that, like, people act like if sexual harassment changed from like 20 years ago. It's the same fucking thing.
Not really, because today it's televised and it's all over the internet.
I get it, but what I'm saying is, if you touch my leg right now, even on my knee.
Have you noticed, by the way, I've been trying to avoid your feet? Because I was raised in a world where
if you
division
were to,
in this area.
even if you were to touch my leg like from there, if I say that I felt sexually harassed, it's my word against yours, unfortunately.
Well, see, that's over exaggeration. You could have just been like, bro, you touched my ankle with your ankle.
Just a quick tangent. I saw a clip from a game convention, a video game convention.
Oh, let's not go there.
No, well, here's the thing. You could tell it was a real video game players in there because they were all maintaining personal distance.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I was scrolling my Instagram, and for some reason in my feed, there's nothing but, like, gym folks getting wrecked on, working out. But also, like, every 5 scrolls or so, you get cosplayers. And every so often, you'll see a little sticker that says, cosplay is not consent. When did that start happening?
Oh, dude, I could understand that, man, because there was definitely...
I questioned, okay, what the fuck does that mean?
There were motherfuckers that were going up and taking pictures with some of these, the cosplayers and groping them, basically. I mean, that's...
Who the fuck does that?
Assholes, man. If you allow stupid
those
people...
gamers that had no social contract.
Look, man,
you know what I mean?
That
respectful, boundary.
Yeah, and that gets accentuated in horrible fucking ways when you put a bunch of them together, because now it's like, oh, it's all just us now.
I should have thought about that. I used to be that kind of gamer that was closed and very, fuck everybody, I fucking hate the world. And
I was having a conversation with a
I
friend.
understand that we live on one planet.
Right.
And
I was having a conversation with a friend a while back about multiplayer gaming, and we were talking about some MMOs, and he was reminiscing. He was like, dude, I used to do this to these folks and this and this. And then like he's going on and I can like, he's looking at me going, and he's like slowly realizing like, oh, I was an asshole.
Damn.
But
you got to take a step back and realize who you are.
Well, it's behavior that's incentivized by the mechanics of the culture, whether it be gaming itself, and also by the mechanics of the activity. Because there are a lot of games.
This is a subject that we could talk about for like 25 minutes, and it can get dirty, or it can get very real.
Well, y'all didn't answer the fucking question.
What was your question, by the way? I'm sorry. We'll go back to your little thought there.
My question.
Money is very real and useful.
I'll agree for the point being.
Not a thing. Anyway.
No, money is very much a thing. If I take it away, can I have yours?
Right now, it's a thing. I'm saying if
we can't escape it, Fred.
If anybody sees Sean on the street, please kick him in the balls. Thank you. Anyway.
Social justice.
So
I'm kidding.
Quick question: have you seen those Crowder respond videos? It's Steven Crowder. Basically anyone that like he goes and does these public things and people will put like, go find his van and slash his tires or something. And he'll go find that person with like a blown up like screen capture of the tweet. Be like, God. Did you tell people to firebomb our truck? It's like, jeez.
No, I haven't. Oh, but send me a link. I want to check that out. That sounds like I may have a laugh or two.
Oh yeah.
So first of all,
one of them, he's dressed like Uncle Sam in a Speedo. It's hilarious.
Oh my God,
no. Before we go any further into that part of the conversation, can we at least all agree unanimously
that video games have taken a weird turn?
That he did it.
Cosby?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were asking.
Wow,
about
you still want to talk about that? I wanted to get away from that because that's another something to do part of the brain.
Look, I genuinely hope that the positive cultural change that we do take away from this.
I didn't even know we took a positive fucking.
Well, we've definitely taken some negative ones away, man. Look, as you said, there is that kind of. We've realized we still haven't had that conversation about what is appropriate dialogue between people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I bump into you in a kitchen, clearly that's not sexual assault. But if we're taking a group photo and I grab your titty.
Example,
even if I grab your titty, it's not right, Joseph. And I apologize for all those photos that we took.
Apology accepted.
It's like, for example,
You're so soft.
I did not know. I did not know that if I was drunk, like if I was drunk with another girl and she was drunk too, like if we're both drunk and we have sex, that's not consent. What's the word?
Consensual, but that's only in. There's a couple. I think Oregon and California have that law.
I don't think so, but you might want to check.
We don't have that in Texas. Like, don't be wrong. If she's passed out and you fondle her, like, yeah, that's still sexual assault. But if you're both just drunk and you fuck, there's nothing to that.
Oh, that's not what I understood.
No. In California, that is clearly. As a matter of fact, if you're drunk and she's not, she raped you.
Wow.
Good luck pressing those charges.
It was just, wow.
She took advantage of me. I let her, but still.
We all live in regret.
So my question...
Regret, fond remembrance, whatever.
My question was going to be, like, this dude's going to jail. I get it. He did it. I agree. Like, I completely agree that he... Now... All 56 or 57 or however many they were, all of them, I don't know. But more than 10, yes. More than 20, even.
Well, hey, man, look at what happened with, what's her name? Argento, where she was one of the ones that came out against, Harvey Weinstein and was, Me Too, now's the time or whatever the other hashtag was. And then come to find out she had basically slept with some 17-year-old,
Oh, yeah, the kid from who played In the Star Trek
I don't
film,
even know who it was, man.
I forget his name.
The point being, man, she and then paid him off, and then fucking made some statements to her lawyer, and just it's all this shit. It's going like, look,
even that whole argument right there is kind of bipolar-ish. It's like he did it. No, wait, he's saying I did it, but I'm saying he did it. It's like, what happened? What's the real story?
Right. Well, sometimes it goes back to that whole speech from what's the Trey Parker, Matt Stone movie with the puppets. Team America.
Team America.
You know, sure, dicks fuck pussies, but sometimes they fuck assholes too.
Jeez.
It's like, yeah, I mean, there's gonna be. Look, man, I'm sure Cosby raped some horrible women. I can say that, right? Just, I'm sure there were some assholes in that group of women that got taken advantage of. That does not in any way negate the fact that they got taken advantage of. I feel like y'all don't know how to take that statement.
I
Don't know what to say, honestly.
I do. The only thing that I wanted to take on that, or where I was going with it, is what I hate the most about this whole case is how the bleeding spread out to like the other cases, meaning that I feel that there's no fucking like accountability. And what I mean is, again, Cosby's going to jail. He got 3 to 10, whatever the case may be, and he's gonna serve his time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Well,
Yet, this fucker, there's like 15 women that have come forward and say that they were sexually assaulted, and he's still the president. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're still in talks that Weinstein might walk.
That I did read about, yeah.
So
I don't think he's going to walk on that case in New York. Man. They seem to have some pretty solid evidence.
The fact that you even said that you don't think, the fact that that word is in that sentence and you don't think is exactly my problem. There's no accountability, and I fall back on.
Hold on, what do you mean accountability though?
Maybe I shouldn't use.
Are you talking about like accurate storytelling, or how can you account for that night? How can you remember?
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm using the wrong word. I feel that it goes back to the same thing that I've been saying from the beginning. And again, it's one of those things that I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna fucking say it. I feel that Cosby was convicted and sentenced because he's black. And
I'm going to say bullshit.
See? And these other dudes are still free and may walk.
Are you referring to what's going on right now in the heated political world, such as Kavanaugh? Is that right?
Like, you realize this isn't the first time in the last couple of decades that Cosby has been in court for this shit, right?
Yeah.
It's not like when, like,
same thing with Trump.
Okay, and to be fair, my understanding as far as the Trump cases go, they were sexual harassment, possibly sexual assault. No,
the 14 or 15 women or whatever it was claimed sexual assault, and then there was the one that claimed.
Well, I thought it was
harassment.
all just verbal harassment, because we all remember that CNN tape that was played over and over in that bus conversation, right?
Right. Like, I have no doubt that Donald Trump is probably a bit of a creep when it comes to dealing with women, but or at least it's sexually. I mean, you know, you don't hear too much about like people saying he was a rude piece of shit, you know, just in a social scenario. I mean, aside from when he's being a rude piece of shit. But I haven't come across any of the stories, and granted, maybe I'm just not reading. Maybe at some point I just kind of went, fuck it, man. I'm tired of reading this shit.
I kind of gave up on the whole political thing.
But a lot of it was comments that were made and like when he walked into the dressing room at one of the pageants while the girls were standing around, you know, half naked and shit. It was shit like that and then there were a couple of instances, which I guess you could kind of would qualify as sexual assault, where he may have like inappropriately touched someone, but it wasn't like he was trapping him in a bedroom or holding him.
There was a hotel, the hotel maids or workers or whatever the fuck they were.
I think that's Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that's a different story.
No, that's different. That's not what I'm
saying.
There was some.
I can bring some humor to this, but just a little light humor. But.
a little light humor. I get it. No, it's not what you said. No,
I don't know what you're talking about. I was talking about the Arnold because he's got a son.
No, I know
Latin
that.
maid, and yeah.
I thought you said light because light skin, dark skin. She was dark skin. He's light skin.
Sure, why not? We can go with that too. Jingo. Shit.
Don't get me wrong, man. I will qualify this, man. I'm sure there are probably more than a handful of people that were exuberant to see Cosby go down because of the fact that he was a prosperous black man in America. But do I think that played a role in why he went down? No, I don't. Now
we can agree to disagree.
Yeah, man, go ahead and live in your bubble all you want, buddy. I'm just there comes a certain point where you have to go, like, look, on an individual basis, and even systematically in certain cases, there are going to be built-in prejudices. You know what I mean?
What about that?
Take the city of Baltimore, for example, which is almost 100% municipally black. Black mayor, black chief of police, all the way down the line, and yet they still have policing practices and zoning laws and various issues that they have to deal with that are prejudiced and are set up systematically to enforce the segregation of neighborhoods and the to stifle influx of economic prosperity into certain areas. So just what? Huh? No. I'm good. So, I mean, I'll give you that, man. But when it comes to, yeah, man, look, man, I love Paul Mooney to death, man. But every time something happens to a black celebrity and he comes out, it goes, 'cause he was black. And you're like, Paul, shut the fuck up. Why are you still walking around, motherfucker? You have said some shit that has clearly pissed off more people than Bill Cosby.
If you don't smile it, you're going to be smile.
Yeah, look, I mean,
I think I saw his stand-up recently. It was pretty interesting.
And going back to what I was saying, man, never underplay the variable of racism in America, but the idea of trying to use that as a catch-all for all of the bullshit that happens.
I didn't say as a catch-all. There's
I'm just saying, what leads you to believe in any way, shape, or form that Cosby's current predicament has anything to do with the fact that he is a black man in America?
I never thought that.
Huh?
Harvey Weinstein case. The other dude.
The CBS guy?
You realize Harvey Weinstein was actually putting in legal catch-alls for this stuff. He was paying people off, NDAs.
I remember now.
Kavanaugh?
No.
The political guy?
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly?
And there's one more.
Again, with Bill O'Reilly, people were paid off. See, that was the thing with Cosby is these women are girls at the time with a lot of them. It wasn't like he was going like, here's some hush money. He was just like, well, you're not going to tell anybody because I'm Bill Cosby. And then they'd tell somebody and he goes, come on, I'm Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? He did it aside from the fact that what he was doing was horrible and atrocious. He was doing it in a stupid fucking way, man. Like there was nothing.
But it doesn't make it any less wrong.
No, I'm not saying it makes it less wrong, but you're bringing up the idea of, why Bill O'Reilly, why Weinstein, why, Trump for that.
So
that
you're
matter.
Saying money.
A lot of it was they were well aware that what they were engaging in was not only illicit but illegal activity, and they took at least some measure to cover their asses while they were doing it. Now, that's not always the case with some of these incidents.
But it's still rape.
Well, rape is rape.
I think
what are we
most of
talking
these
about?
cases were harassment or sexual harassment.
Or I'm sorry.
Or sexual assault.
Now, with Cosby, it seems to be that it was indeed rape. As far as Bill O'Reilly goes, no, he didn't rape anybody.
Sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment, sexual assault, and in a couple of cases, stalking with O'Reilly on a couple of them. Well, I think with stalking, you have to have there has to be some precedent in place first. You know, what's that? Where you can't come near me.
Oh, the restraining order.
Restraining
order. There you go.
There you go. There has to.
Damn, it's kind of crazy. Like I was the only one that was able to come up.
You served time. Yeah.
Just so y'all know, at home we are not within 500 feet of a school.
Shit.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think it's entirely too simplistic in a lot of these cases to break it down immediately and go, it's because he was, Cosby was a successful black man in America. I think, first of all, that shits on every other successful black man in America who didn't get caught drugging and raping women. It's like,
wasn't Aziz Ansari also in that little category?
No, but here's the thing.
What did he do?
He was just a little bit too aggressive with, he basically had his pants down and was, the girl he was seeing at the time, he was chasing her. She was like, I don't want to give you a blowjob. And he's like, come on, you want to give me a blowjob? And he chased her around the apartment.
Oh, so sense of humor interpreted as attempted rape.
Well, it's like the whole thing with DeFranco. Aside from...
Well, what I meant by that was he's being funny about the situation because they're dating, right?
Right.
And I'm pretty sure it was one of those moments of intimacy. Come on, give me a blowjob, babe.
Right.
And she runs away. Okay, so sense of humor, failed attempt. I guess you could say.
I still contend. I've gone over it multiple times. The whole thing with Louis C.K.
I know people are going to interpret that wrong.
Yeah. Well, with Louis C.K., people go like, he asked permission every time. Now, people can, I understand the argument when it comes to, say, the production assistant who he asked on set, which at that point you go, no, Louis, no. But everyone else are like, oh, well, they thought he was joking. If somebody asks to show you their penis, assume that they're telling the truth.
But I guess okay, let's indulge. Let's talk about this. Tone is what sets and delivers the words. Like the interpretation, if you will.
I know.
Like in Aziz's point.
It's like that whole thing about dating, be beautiful, don't not be beautiful.
Tone. In his case, the way you said it, hey, give me a blowjob. They're in the intimate moment. She's not feeling it, but he continues jokingly. I can see how she could not see it one way, because that's something she doesn't want to do. But in his mind, I'm just playing with you. But why did he continue? It's like, dude, just take the hint, pull him up, and be like, I was joking. Yeah,
Right. Hey, I am very much a fan of the concept of the safe word. Like the...
No?
Pineapples.
Huh? Well, no, hey, if you have a healthy, if you are dealing with two happy, healthy, well-adjusted people, then yes, no is a great safe word.
And I understand that. But my significant other understands that as well. I mean, that word carries weight. No, we're not going to do this. Or no, don't do that.
Right.
Or in her instance as well, no, I'm not going to do that.
I've been in those situations where, walk up from behind and, grab a handful of something and they go, no. And you go, okay. And you let go. And then they go, why'd you stop?
See, that's exactly.
Fuck you. That's why.
That's another tone interpretation. The way it was delivered. Tone. In a sense of humor wise or in a realistic, this is not going to fucking happen. Like with my significant other, I use tone. Right. And it's always a funny tone. Like, hey, babe, mind if I grab a tit? Or like, hey, mind if I, pinch a little? And she'll be like, what the hell? You sound happy. Go for it. And then there's times where she's like, no, we're not. I'm not in the mood. And I'll respect that.
Right.
But me, stupid moron that I am, I'll continue with that sense of humor. Well, hey, how about a little sucky suck? And the no still carries. The no still carries over. But I'm just rolling on a bit now because I'm an idiot sometimes.
Right.
And no, it does. I I respect her no. So yes, yeah, you know, because there's video and there's.
I say yes to her no.
Okay. That's not what I meant. That is not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I respect her no, her decision.
No, I get you, man. But it's again, ongoing conversation, and plus you're not always there in the mix of things. But
yeah,
I do think very quickly.
But see, that scares me. Like when you think about the moment of intimacy,
right?
15 years, 20 years down the line, when that relationship ended, the amount of time ago that it was, moments of intimacy can be used as a weapon in some cases, right?
Right.
That doesn't make that should not make any man feel safe anyway, in that sort of like sense. Moments of intimacy and like you feel vulnerable with each other, you know, you're loving and it's all consensual. Well, what if 15 years down the line, in this case with Mr. Ansari, and I'm going to assume it was a sensual moment, right? An intimate moment with consent, right? Or no one, in this case, no consent. Well, that scares me. What if I dated a woman in my past and we were in that moment of, love and intimacy? What if 15 years down the road, she's like, no, he groped me and he, grabbed a here and there. Right. But in my head and the way that it played out in reality was a moment of consensual interest.
And this is what I was
and that scares me. I'm thinking about it now.
Hold on. This is what I was telling you 20 minutes ago. That unfortunately, because we live in a broken justice system at this very moment.
Well, broken world. I would say broken world.
Broken justice system. We still live in this broken justice system, unfortunately, till today, in a court of law, whether they tell you or not, it's always gonna be her word against yours. Always. Now, you are innocent. I kind of believe that. You are innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But they always will lean towards her.
Now, let me get cold.
By the way, I just want to be clear. You guys know what I'm. Know what I was saying, right?
I understand exactly.
Like moment of intimacy. You're watching a movie. It's love, and you're fondling each other, having a good time. Yeah. But what if 15 years later, it was an assault?
Right.
And she can say.
She can, right?
Like, let me give you another plain example.
I'm getting all kinds of paranoid right now.
Well, here's the thing. I do think there does need to be
say that you have sex with your girlfriend or whatever, then and there, you're done. You're done doing your deed. But if she gets up and she walks out the door, and all she says, "I was at this place and this dude raped me," even though at the time that was consensual. That word, it's still it like they're gonna take it as like it was a rape. Again, it falls back on the same thing. You're still innocent until proven guilty or whatever. But if she says it was rape, even though there was consensual, agreement before it started, it's still gonna be like that. The only way, and this is going to sound completely fucked up, but again, in a court of law, the only way that your word will kind of stand up against hers, and it's still a very thin line, is say before you slept with her, there was an actual written agreement where she signed and said, I'm consenting to this shit. Then you have more of a defense, and still there's that still gray area where it might not go your way, and it's always been like that. That goes back to the earlier thing that I was saying. On this part, I can, that's the word I want to use, is accountability. In that situation, I feel that women should be held accountable as much as men. What I mean by that, for the women that lie about, being sexually abused and then it's proven that they weren't, they should fucking go to jail too. But they don't.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
And this goes back a couple of years. I'm hanging out with a bunch of friends, a bunch of nerds and geeks. We're having a good time. We're just chilling. And the girl on the phone, I guess she was going through a breakup at the time, or something was going on. I don't really know. All I know is her side. I'm listening to it. I'm watching it unfold. This moment in my life scared me to this day. And this kind of goes to what you're saying. They could turn the story, flip the switch. She goes from talking normal to I see her do something. I think she pinched herself or something. She cries on cue like that, like on cue. She triggered a cry. And it was so believable. I'm watching this unfold. So believable. And then the moment she hangs up the phone, she goes back to like normal. Wipes it. Hey guys, let's have some fun. Let's fucking drink. That's what scared me. And it still scares me to this day. That switch can be flipped in an instant. And yeah.
Hey man. Yeah, good faith is the only way to really
point and moral of this story, ladies and gentlemen.
Only one.
Don't have sex. Just don't have sex. Just don't do it. It's not worth it.
Your hand works.
Yeah. Your hand
think
will
about that
not.
population cap.
Okay, but what I was going to say was this, man. Right now, you mentioned Kavanaugh earlier, and I think specifically because we are in this kind of time of like, and you can go into the whole story about
was the longest case the 40 years, almost 40 years.
82, I think, was the date that she gave for
so about 36 years or so.
About, yeah.
How is that even possible? I mean, I don't even remember what I had to eat 14 years ago.
This was what I was going to say, man, is this is going to push if they do this at the federal level, which it looks like they're going to, this is going to set up, if not legal, then at least social precedents for the idea of, look, we will treat you as if the story you're telling is correct. We'll go through the investigation. We will, nobody's going to go, you lying whore, get out of here. Well, except for people on the internet. But what I'm saying is there is no physical evidence for any of this stuff.
So what you're saying is that in the long run, there's going to be a social justice system or local legislation. No, judicial, right? I mean, local justice system.
Well, if it happens at the federal level, then as soon as that...
So there's going to be another law implemented that if this...
Not a law, happens, but just the interpretation of like, look, if
future cases will be handled as such? Small to big cases?
Here's the thing. This goes into what I've said before about...
I'm thinking on my head...
The legal system the legal system has to be loose enough that we allow for the slip through of a few incidents, because if we tighten it down any farther, we're going to have unintended consequences. But what I'm saying is,
and you're going to jail
if you don't have
population of males.
Yeah. If you do not have physical,
wow, that's a great way for feminism to win.
Well, think about it this way. I've been in a couple of fist fights where I woke up the next day, didn't have any bruises, didn't have any of that, but I was definitely fucking assaulted. I definitely got punched in the fucking head. You know what I mean? And if I wait another day, there's not even, a soft spot on the side of the skull. But what I'm saying is, if I go into a police station and go, hey, somebody punched me, they're like, where? Was it on camera? Did you have witnesses? Was there, how did this happen? Oh, you say it happened.
At least produce one witness?
Yeah. This is what I'm saying though, man. Like, I understand. And unfortunately, this is to kind of counter the argument you were making about like, well, when it comes to word against word, then there is a bias towards the woman in that incident. There are countless cases, and this is what gets brought up every time, and I think kind of slows the conversation because you have both sides screaming at each other, is one side saying, well, men can't be believed. As men, we're going like, nobody will believe our story if we say this. You know what I'm thinking
right now in my head?
But on the other side of that, you have a lot of cases where they don't even bother to process the rape kit because the cops just go, we won't be able to get a prosecution off of this. So we definitely do have a lot of instances where even where there is physical evidence, they don't think they can persecute the crime. I'll go so far as to say as if there's not physical evidence, how are you supposed to prosecute that crime?
I want to add to that that
this
point,
became a real serious
that point you just made. What I wanna add to it is another way that I think you fix it, going on with what Sean said about the evidence. There has to be limitation. And again, a lot of people hearing, and maybe y'all in the room will not agree with me, but plain and simple, when you go for a fucking job, you do your background check. They go back check 7 years, right? Am I wrong?
I think it's 7 years.
7 years,
yeah,
right? Okay.
Give or take. Yeah.
7 years. They should apply those 7 years to this shit. Like if you were touched or raped or whatever, you have 7 years to come forward and say some shit.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You have 7 years.
I'll push back against on that because, for example, this shit that's going on with Kavanaugh right now in New England, Massachusetts or wherever it was that this occurred, there is no statute of limitations on sexual harassment. Now, I'm willing to say if there's, say a videotape comes forward of, some camcorder that was in the room and they show the two guys, taking this drunk girl into a back bedroom. Well, at that point you go, okay, that's evidence. We move forward, regardless of how this goes. We have an actual evidence. We have at least one testimony, though apparently there's been a letter released from the other guy who was being accused of being in the room that was saying the whole thing never fucking happened. Kavanaugh's claiming he was a virgin until college. So, I mean,
shit.
But look, what I'm saying is I don't think you want to play around with the idea of statute of limitations when it comes to stuff like this, because there are certainly cases. I mean, that was the argument against, where was it? Where they had the rape cases came up against the Catholic priests and they couldn't prosecute them because it had all gone past statute of limitations, which is not the case now in a lot of places because they kind of realize like, oh shit, what if our diocese gets hit, Like
the thing is that, again, it goes back to accountability. The problem is, man, that if you don't have a limitation on it, then everybody and their mom is always going to try to come forward, because I do feel that there's been some cases where women have claimed that they were sexually assaulted and the man was he more than likely did not do it. Perfect example, and y'all may disagree with me on this, but Russell Simmons, I honestly don't think that dude did any of that. The 13 or 14 women again that came forward and say that he sexually assaulted them back in I think it was 87, 88 that they were saying. I honestly think he didn't do it. Again, back to what you were saying about the evidence. They weren't able to find any evidence. They weren't able to find any proof. They weren't able to find anything. So there was nothing for them to charge him on or whatever. Again, the reason as to why I would say 7-10 years of limitation or whatever, that's because it pushes the victim to where if it was true, honestly, dude, I don't care how scared you are or who the person is. In 10 years, in 7-10 years, you gotta come forward. I mean, if you were that traumatized, and I'm not saying that a rape is not traumatizing, I'm pretty sure it is. You know what I'm saying? So if you were traumatized and it was a life-changing experience, come forward. Come forward. If you feel that it wasn't, then you're not. But I'm saying the victims need to be held accountable too, because I feel that they have some responsibility as well. Now, the last thing that I want to tag to it, I feel that this does not apply to anybody that was drugged and raped. That does not apply to them. Because at that point, you're under the influence. That's a whole different scenario. But it goes back to what you were saying. If you claim that you were drugged or whatever, there has to be evidence. There has to be evidence that you were drugged.
Yeah.
And then that shit happened. That's all I'm saying. Because people that claim, because I'm tired of hearing people that claiming I got raped, I got whatever, and then it's not true. And why I'm saying this, and what benefit are they trying to get out of it? They're doing it to rich, like wealthy, well-off people, and they're just doing it for the money, man. Again,
some of them, man.
Huh?
Some of them.
That's what I'm saying. Some of them. Yeah. I didn't say everybody. I said some of them. But that's what I'm saying. That's why they gotta hold the victims accountable as well. Some of them.
Well, to go back to the example you were using earlier about, an intimate moment, and in one case, all of a sudden, they look back on it in a negative light, and all of a sudden it becomes something else. There are people there have been more than a few cases, especially in colleges, where they have the whole Title IX process, where it's basically extrajudicial. They don't have to go to the cops; they just go to the campus authorities, and then that gets dealt with in a completely biased fashion. But what I was going to say is there have been more than a few instances where something occurred between two students, and then the friend of one of the students, usually the woman, she goes, "Oh, this thing happened the other day with Billy," and then they go, "Billy raped you." She's like, "No," and they're like, "Yeah. Let me explain to you." How.
Coercion.
A little bit, man. But it is a lot of times. It is the moment, man. There's stuff that you go like, it was that was funny, and then you go, ooh, that was a little inappropriate.
Some scary shit, man.
It is, man. But again,
I've told a lot of jokes in my
good
past
faith will save you, man.
Fucking paranoid the shit out of me right now.
A lot of jokes.
Yeah, jokes.
Jokes, man.
Yeah, jokes. Material jokes.
Yeah.
You threw me off completely with that. Why?
Good. That was the point. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I guess old material. That,
no, I get that part, but why are you?
I'm just saying is that I'm fucking paranoid.
But why would you
because everyone's basically being a child and throwing everyone under the bus.
But what does that have to do with
in a way, it's kind of like a sinking ship, and everyone is using everyone as a flotation device.
No, that and you have a bunch of sexist, misogynistic material. I understand.
I don't use it anymore. I don't. For reasons, I don't use that material.
For reasons.
You should. I understand what you're saying, and that's why, that's why I'm asking these questions, because. No. Like I know what you're like trying to imply.
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to dig under the skin.
No, I'm not.
What is this fucker hiding?
No, I'm not.
I'm good cop. He's bad cop.
All I'm saying, I told you that's the way it works.
Don't make me have to get the phone book out.
I mean that's a whole different story. That's probably for another episode.
And I know you said stick to your material. Don't, because some people tell you this and tell you that. But for me, certain material I will not say on stage anymore, because it kind of carries weight in a mental sense.
But for you,
yeah, for me.
Now
that's different.
To make that seem a little bit less ominous, I think there's a lot of jokes that none of us here have been in the game 20 years, man. There are some jokes that like we probably are not ready to do yet. You know what I mean? Because there's some tightrope walking that goes on when you hit certain subjects that if you're not competent, you very quickly
can fall.
Next thing you know, you're off in the weeds telling so I was holding her down. You go, wait, what? Huh?
I have two rape jokes that I've done before at LA. I didn't get the reaction that I wanted. But I realized they're funny. They are funny. It's just the problem is that they're a little too dark.
Well, today's climate,
the thing that I'm battling with is the fact that I don't want to let them go because they're funny. Like they are funny. And the other thing that I battle with,
I've heard one of them.
The other thing that I battle with is exactly that. It's like, dude, okay, if you were abused, if you were molested, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that it's right to do it, But the other, my tagline to that, not my tagline, but my what I add to that.
He's telling a bit now.
No, I'm not. But the reality of it is, fuck you. It's funny. Like, it's funny. And that's why I don't feel sorry for saying that.
To quote the late Patrice O'Neill, not all this shit's going to work. You're trying to get a laugh, but sometimes you don't get
that's
there.
The thing, bro. Like, half of the room laughed, and the other half was, you know.
I mean, who hasn't been abused growing up as a kid? I mean, my father used to hit me with all kinds of things. Belts, PVC pipes in the head, on the bottom, on the arm. I mean, sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to put you on the bus, but that's the way I grew up. I was abused. I was
my grandma was the same thing.
I did anything wrong. I broke a vase or something. Here comes that 2x4, you know, a PVC or something.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You had an awesome childhood, bro.
No, I didn't. That was a lot of pain.
Good.
If I dropped the groceries and the eggs broke or something, that one I do remember. He went right for the nearest tree, broke the biggest branch, just like a real superhero kind of thing. Got rid of all the leaves and branches, and yeah, dude. It's all in here. I remember those days as a kid. I regret every little action I did. You know, saying "F you" for the first time. Oh, that was
it all makes sense now. This isn't hedonism. This is body armor.
Oh, yeah, this is what this is right here. This is just years of, like, building a shell, you know, so people...
Yeah, man. Dude,
this made a different turn. This took a whole different turn. All this shit.
You know what? I almost have more respect for, like, the parents who, like, beat their kids and then don't talk to them after they're 18. It's like, I didn't want to have you in the first place.
As a kid, I didn't like that shit. But look at me now, and I'm kind of like a real cool person.
Well, no, the thing is,
but when I hear about people today trying to give their kids capital punishment,
capital punishment, Jesus,
you know what I mean? You know what I mean? A little patent behind. Or
pull out the 45, be like, no, be in the backyard, Junior.
Well, not capital punishment, public punishment is what I meant to say.
Here's a cigarette. Close your eyes.
A little patent behind or a slap on the wrist or something. People are like, you can't do that. The child is going to learn. You know?
Well, the thing is, man, like, I mean, fortunately, my family was more a fan of the psychological torture. Like, I remember picking switches off of trees in the backyard.
To get your own ass whooping?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't actually remember getting hit that much, man.
Oh, you guys had it worse than me. Shit.
Yeah, my mom...
Pick your tools, son.
Yeah, my mom would send me and my brother out to the backyard, and then she would say, go cut a switch and bring it to me. Oh. So then we would, right? So one day I thought I was smart, and I picked the shortest one, so she couldn't really grab a handle on it to swing it, and also I picked the thinnest one, right? So I took it to her. Big mistake. She took it, she broke it, then she went to go cut her own switch, and I got double the whooping for it. But I'm gonna give you the parallel.
This is bringing back memories. Holy shit!
The moral of the story.
Like I'm tempted,
20 years back. 20 years later, dude.
The arms of an angel.
And 20 years later, it took me 20 years to look at my mom in the face, because at 20 years old was when I first got in trouble to where I was looking at like real time. I was 20 years old. And we had this conversation. I had this conversation with my mom, and I remember I told her with tears in my eyes, and I told her, I want to take this time to let you know that whatever happens, I want to thank you for every single ass whooping you gave me, because that ass whooping, I now understand, saved me from something worse.
Yeah.
And that's what I told her.
Well, I can say the same. I can say the same thing.
I don't regret like any like my mom's was the best mom in the world, bro. She was, and believe me, when I was a kid, I got my ass whooped because I was stubborn, man.
We all were kids and stubborn.
No, but I mean, I was stubborn. Like I had to have things my way
all
the time.
Well, Look, man, there is that subtle line and sometimes not so subtle line between an ass whooping and a beating.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
there
that's
is a
the thing.
difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah, what you're describing was a beating.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried not to make it sound like a beating, but yeah.
No,
I failed.
and that's why
You gotta knock the fuck out, man.
that's what I try.
Oh, I can tell you sometimes I've rendered unconscious.
I was hoping that was a joke.
Oh no, I've been unconscious once or twice.
That's what I tell everybody. There's a difference between beating your child and spanking your child, and I tell everybody never in a lifetime beat your child, but you can spank your child.
Most of the time it was an ass whooping, but when I did something really bad, it was unfortunately a beating. Now my parents, they're not always bad people. I mean, I'm just going to throw this out there. They were never always bad people. It's just when we did something wrong. When we didn't learn from that mistake and we did it again, well, there was a little, ass whooping or a little lesson learned.
Where I was going earlier was I have run into a couple of situations where I've just been in on conversations or like I've heard people try to justify shit to me, and it's like parents that just like outright beat the shit out of their kids, and then they're all like, why don't you respect me as your parent? And it's like, because you're a piece of shit. It's like you can't cross that line with somebody, even if they're your blood and they're your child. You cross that line with a person, and you're lucky they don't murder you in your sleep.
Shit.
Oh, that brings back another memory. This one time I had the pillow ready and
no, jeez. Oh.
Well, I think that's a good way to about wrap it up, man.
No, we need to end on a better light than that. Fuck that.
Joseph, what's your favorite dirty joke?
Can we do something else?
Yeah.
Don't want to get me too'd up in this motherfucker. Me and Freddy just walk out of here looking shocked and shit. Like, he said things that were so horrible.
Oh my God.
And then he showed it to us.
Well, I will say this. No, there's no good joke. That's all terrible.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
What are you getting at?
Do you spread the peanut butter first?
Is it because I'm sweating and I'm hungry?
No. Do you spread the peanut butter first on one side, and then do you spread the jelly on the other slice of bread?
No, that's weak. That's weak. You do peanut butter on both sides. Yes. You jam both sides, and if you're feeling adventurous, and if you can do it, you slather on some peanut butter in the middle without, disturbing the jelly.
Oh, see, I didn't know.
I was successful sometimes, and the rest, it just fell apart.
Now, look, I'd like to ask a very important question. Do you...
I use wipes in the toilet paper. No. Oh,
I was going to say, do you pre-coat with butter before you put the peanut butter down? But
I never thought of that. That does sound pretty good.
You get a lot less bread tearing when you're laying the peanut butter down on top. Right?
Damn.
I never.
Stop. I'm gonna go get me some. One of those PB&J Crustables. Yeah. I'm gonna get some of those right now. Shit.
KTB has them, right?
Go get some of those.
Hell yeah.
Oh man. Those little half buns.
At a certain point, they got the peanut butter and jelly swirl that you can get in like the squeezable thing.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, why even bring bread into this, man?
Why even do that?
No, I still
don't even. Oh, that brings back memories. We'd always buy like 2 or 3 bottles, and one was specifically for me.
Why does this one have teeth marks on it?
Just let it be. Oh, man, I can tell you some good stories. Just playing some hours of Halo 3. Just chucking away at some Smuckers. Just playing away.
Dude, I killed fucking pounds of trail mix when Final Fantasy 12 came out.
Shit.
Locked myself away in a room and just, yeah, man.
When BioShock came out.
Me and my brother did that with Final Fantasy 7. On the PlayStation.
The PlayStation. The first version.
Yeah.
Did you know they made 2 versions of the PlayStation 1? There was the small version, which was able to have a monitor attached to it. It was a flippable, right?
Yeah.
And then the standard giant gray brick PlayStation.
Yeah.
That's the one I had.
I had that one.
Well, actually, they had a model even before that. It was the one that still had the connection in the back for the computer monitor and the
VGA connection. Yeah.
And,
dude.
real quick,
Yeah, man.
real quick, and we'll end it like that. On the PlayStation, the first one, favorite game of all time.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I can see that.
Metal Gear Solid, man. When I played that demo that came in with Pizza Hut box, with the Pizza Hut box,
I know this demo.
that was the go-to. At the moment the game came out, I begged my family, my mom and my dad, can we get this game? Can we get this game?
How old were you?
I was about, it was what, 96? 97, right around there? I was around 7 or 8.
I'm old.
And all I could remember was just begging him. Ass whooping after ass whooping. Yard cleaning after yard cleaning. Saving up money. Well, I mean, my dad never gave me the money. But he's like, okay, you're at $10 right now. Go ahead and clean the front yard. You know, like that Federal Reserve guy. Okay, you worked hard. You got 10 right now. Work a little bit harder. You can get 20.
See, this is where money's useful, Freddy. You gotta bribe them kids, yo.
It was an incentive.
You still wouldn't need it. Anyway.
You get that kid to mow the lawn.
But when I finally got it, it was just a bundle of joy, man. And that's where I find my solace today. Like, games. I shed tears when I have hours of gameplay by myself. Because my mind starts to wander. Like, holy shit, I was just, it was just me when I was a kid. And
that happened to me, man. No shit. The first night that I got that I won, actually, the Super Nintendo, the dude. That first night I had it, I played for like 8 hours straight.
The longest gameplay I can say when I first got a game, got it, loaded it, and played through and through, would probably have to be BioShock, the 2007 release. I played all 40 hours. My Xbox survived. I played for 38 hours or so. Only piss breaks and poop breaks. Just living off Slim Jims for the 40 hours. Played it through and through. It was the best memory I have. Nobody bothered me. Yeah. Nobody told me anything. Nobody said, you're a loser, you're a piece of shit. Nobody disturbed me. That was my moment. That was my time. I remember it to this day.
Great game, too.
Really good game.
Your favorite PlayStation game?
Well, since you already covered Metal Gear Solid, man, I would say the game that I would definitely recommend if somebody went back to the PS would be Final Fantasy.
They're remaking it, in case y'all didn't know.
I had seen that. Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh.
I thought you were going to go with Parasite Eve.
No, a good game,
we talked about that game for a while.
I still contend that the original Final Fantasy Tactics has one of the strongest storylines of any RPG I've ever played, man.
I can concur.
Like, you actually feel like it feels like it was written for adults. It wasn't some, childish, go find the colorful overgrown chickens. It's like,
now, there's another game that was kind of fun to play that was just for the hell of it. Spyro.
Oh.
The Dragon.
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, dude. PS1 had, Siphon Filter.
Yeah.
Going back to Final Fantasy 9.
Remember that game, Medieval?
Medieval was great, man.
No one remembers that game.
Dude, Crash Bandicoot, fucking...
Whoa! Crash Bandicoot, just every time you fell.
Whoa!
Yeah, man, yeah. There were a bunch of...
Mine was I was hooked for months on end, trying to buy every fucking car.
Gran Turismo.
The first one.
Gran Turismo.
That shit there, man.
Groundbreaking graphics on the PlayStation. And
I gotta have that S license.
Yep.
And the sound effects are so perfect and on point. Oh, dude.
Yeah, man.
The way the gears...
Let's stop before we start to cry.
The way the gears switch, you know what I'm saying? Because I had to get I would
the little time to switch the gear notification
I figured out at 13 there was no way in hell I'd ever drive a manual.
Yeah, I would do that. I would get the standard transmission.
And they didn't just, they didn't have a standard controller for this thing. What did they do? They launched it with the wheel, the pedal, the gear shift. Remember that shit?
Yeah, man.
Triangle, square, all on one little pad. Oh man, I remember that shit, man. You need to stop this right now. Start to cry like a fat, overgrown, jelly-eating,
one question, and then
peanut butter bastard.
One question, and then we'll have you throw out your contacts, and we'll wrap this whole bad thing up. What piece of media, be it video game, a novel, a movie, a virtual reality experience, what are you looking forward to right now? What's got you going? Ooh, that's going to be fun in a couple of months.
The Fleshlight.
No. That's going to come back.
I hear the new model compliments you. It's like, ooh, I've never seen one so big.
No, for me, it's got to be film. I always find film is my go-to to calm me down and relax. And
what are you looking forward to?
Well, I was looking forward to Infinity Wars, and when I saw that, I was asking myself at the end of the film, walking out, what's the point of life? I mean, that's it. We're done. I mean, how am I going to see tomorrow like I saw today? I mean, what the hell? I'm looking forward to... There was one movie.
Toy Story 4?
No, they're doing that one. That's coming out for sure.
That's what I'm saying?
Toy Story 4. I don't know. I guess I'd have to say I want to see where they're going to go with this franchise. Edge of Tomorrow, the sequel. I want to see where they're going with that.
Okay.
Christopher McGuire and Tom Cruise agreed to do a second, and I would love to see that. I'd love to see where that goes.
I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the original short novel.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I think they did a great job of.
And I gotta hand it to Tom Cruise, by the way. TC, buddy, you keep practical effects alive. You and your studio, you guys do amazing work. Seriously. Fallout, Mission MI Fallout was spectacular. A great way to tie a beautiful bow on this present.
Fucking A, man. All right. Well, let the people know where you're at.
I'm sitting right here on a couch, as you can see.
No, metaphysically.
You guys can find me on... Well, I kind of don't want to because I've been getting a lot of troll accounts. A lot of Nigerians, a lot of Lithuanians.
Oh, we're nowhere
Russian,
outside of the States. We're barely trying to get out.
You got to get that public page, man.
To just coming at me, just like, be my friend.
So I'm telling you, man, public page is the way to go. I noticed your Twitter is no longer locked down. So
yeah, because Roy's like, hey, man, your jokes are funny. Put them out there. Ironic. The irony is, I deleted those jokes when I went public.
Okay, all right.
I want that whole James Gunn situation coming back at me. I make one joke about what was the movie? Whatever. Well, you guys can find me on and you can also find me on no, I'm kidding. No, seriously, there's a lot of troll accounts on my Instagram. It's ridiculous.
You don't want to give them an account. Personally, man, I would suggest, man, because I don't...
A public account?
Yeah, man, I don't see you turning away from either whether it be the stand-up comedy, the podcasting, whether,
Yeah. That's
if
true.
you get one of these production projects off the ground where whatever it is you're going to do, the voice acting or the film work or... Whatever it is, man, you're going to have some point of contact at some, get a Gmail account and just start from there. It opens
That's
you up. That's
why you'll go to my publicist. I'll have one of those hopefully soon.
Well,
it'll probably just be me as a different persona.
Your fucking publicist is going to fucking make
they'll make an account. Well, you know what? That's my project for tonight. Go through with it, press accept, and make a public account. Just okay, it's done.
And share it tomorrow.
But for now, you guys can find me on Twitter. I'm at Joe Meggles. Instagram at MeggleTV. Hey, it's a gamer tag that stuck, and I love it. It's pretty soon I'm going to get a shirt. It's going to be great.
Right on.
It's going to be a megalodon jumping out of the water, breaking water, just catching a chubbo like me.
Nice.
And underneath, it's going to say Meggles, the Chuckle Chaser.
Nice.
Okay, well,
that's a catchphrase for those of you who don't know. You have to watch the NSFL Last podcast.
Dude, there you go, man. Give out the contacts for the podcast. It's
yeah, I'm part of a Not Suitable for Listeners podcast. You guys can find us on all means of social media now. I'm plugging my shit on your podcast. I'm so sorry.
That's why we have the podcast, man.
That's what it's for.
You guys can find us on Spotify, Not Suitable for Listeners podcast, iTunes, and I think it's Buzzsprout. Yeah, Buzzsprout. You can find us there. The Not Suitable for Listeners. Yeah, no troll accounts, please. We're getting tired of it. Well, I'm getting tired of it. Just today alone, 10 of them popped up, I swear.
I got poked by a Malaysian prostitute earlier today.
Oh, my God.
And then I went on Facebook.
Did you get checked out?
Not yet. And I'm assuming there's going to be another episode of Don't Stop Believing.
Oh, yeah. We're working on that one. We actually look to record this coming week.
Right on.
Right on.
All right.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Well, if you folks want to get in touch with me, I'm at hatfieldstandup@gmail.com, as well as Hatfield Standup on Facebook, Twitter, and I think it's just Sean Hatfield on YouTube.
Wow, that's real. That's what you mean by public accounts?
Yeah. And on YouTube, you can catch episodes of the Mad Laughter podcast. Feel free.
On that tomorrow. So, yeah.
Well,
actually, both of you will be on that tomorrow, which, by the way, this won't be tomorrow because this episode doesn't go out till next week. But time, how does it happen?
A week ago, I was on that show.
Back to the future, all up in this motherfucker.
Yep.
Precisely.
Damn it, Morty. The views on Spotify.
We need more iTunes. By the way, I was watching it today. Forgot how wonderful that trilogy is. Beautiful trilogy.
Awesome.
Yeah. Great stuff.
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Freddy G. And
you can find the audio version of this podcast at shoutengine.com/bouncingbrains, as well as on Spotify and I believe Google Play.
Spotify.
Not Spotify.
So unless you got confirmation.
No, you're right. No, you said Spotify. That's right. Stitcher.
That's us.
We're on Stitcher. Spotify's second-rate cousin. Love you. Yeah, we're available on Stitcher and Google Play as well.
Yeah.
And we're still working on Spotify and iTunes, but we'll be there someday. And you can find this podcast on YouTube under Bouncing Brains.
Bouncing Brains.
We got all the episodes on there. And what else?
This has been a funded episode by Discovery. No, this is Discovery.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Bouncing Brains. We also have a group on there, and we encourage you to jump in there and have a discussion. You can find individuals like Joseph on there, and you can stalk him on Facebook. Don't stalk. You make him nervous. He sweats when he's nervous.
Yeah, I'm a little sweaty right now. But that's the hunger.
And we also do not all of us.
We do kids parties.
Oh my God.
we also have a show tomorrow. Well, me and Joseph have a show tomorrow.
It was a week ago, so yeah.
Oh shit! I keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Never mind.
They did some shit.
You think fourth dimensionally, Fred.
We will do some shit that you will find out about in a week.
A week ago.
No, a week ago exactly.
This is where we cue No Doubt's walking in the spider web.
Hypnotoad.
Well, other than that,
I think we are covered.
I mean, I gotta go get something to eat. I'm hungry. How about you guys?
Joseph, thank you for coming in, brother. It was a great conversation.
Thanks for letting me come on. And also being on the podcast.
Yeah. Freddie tolerates you.
That was a joke. Yeah, I'm so sorry we didn't let you get to talk a lot. We were just nerding out.
No, we did. No, we good. Sometimes we let the conversation deviate wherever it's gonna go. Somebody catches it. I toss it to Sean.
I felt like we were at a party and we were just really scattered conversations.
That's the way it should be, man.
He did it as a joke, but that is really, I told you before we hit record. It really is. It really is good cop, bad cop. He's the one that kind of, and I always
it's
tend
the beard.
to play.
It just says, "You can find comfort among these lips."
Yeah. So until next time, folks.
I don't know why I just had a Russian accent in my head going, "Come, I am fuzzy and comfortable."
You will enjoy this beer. Don't worry.
I give you solace. Go ahead, cry.
Cry. Don't worry. I listen right through Noble.
That's funny.
Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Enjoy.